Welcome to Snowmobile Sessions Live on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. It's the #1 destination to learn about snowmobiling, network with other sledders, and have an awesome time doing it. We'll meet other snowmobilers that share your passion and show your fan photos along the way. Snowmobile Sessions Live. Enjoy the ride.
This episode of Snowmobile Sessions Live is brought to you by Energy Power Sports. They're Oakville's full-line BRP dealer with sales and service to all BRP models and so much more. Energy Power Sports always has the fun in store with a wide selection of clothing, parts, and accessories for all your power sports passions. Make Energy Power Sports your source for Can-Am off-road, ATV, and side-by-sides. Can-Am on-road Riker and Spider, including the sporty F3S, Sea-Doo watercraft, and Switch pontoon boats, and Alumacraft fishing boats powered by Mercury Marine. Put yourself on a Manitou pontoon or a Widescape stand-up snowmobile. Energy Power Sports is the home for Lynx and Ski-Doo snowmobiles for the entire family. Do you feel the energy? Energy Power Sports, 879 Cranberry Court, Oakville, Ontario, or online, energypowersports.ca. 879.
All right. Good evening, everybody. The chat is rocking right now, and we have Brady Slade in the bottom corner there, and Jean-Luc Lemire popped in because he's got some exciting news as well. Can I play the little video, Jean-Luc?
Yeah, just a bit of a teaser. I think many people have seen, but why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, need the sound.
There we go. So what do you know about this, Jean-Luc?
Not a lot, to be honest with you. This is where BRP is exceptionally strong. They keep everything very, very close to their vest. There are some surprises, I'm told. So I did try to, kind of pull some news a little bit, but there will be some things that we haven't seen just yet. So this is not going to be just a sticker and color year, I don't think. Obviously, in the pursuit of pushing the boundaries and the limits, that's what BRP does. They're a technology company. They love to push they love to push power, obviously, for sure. Are we going to see more than 180 horses? I don't know. That'd be insane. But some models maybe could use a little bit of a tweak. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's been, as I said when we were off the air, it's been a good year. The snow has absolutely helped us. We've been very fortunate southwestern Ontario. But I got a couple of buddies with dealerships in Alberta. I think snow is starting to make its way to BC and Alberta a little bit better, and better quantities anyway. So we'll see. I think this year is going to be a mountain sled year. That's my prediction. If there's anything new and significant, because we've been kind of spoiled since 22 with the Mach, the 850 turbo for the trail. So we've been very, very lucky, I think, with a lot of news. We'll see.
Yeah. Corey says Energy Power Sports was rocking today. Very busy. Yeah.
Yeah, he was here. He was installing one of the new displays for the electric bike that is coming in on Wednesday, Corey. And yeah, he's absolutely right. We were so busy. We closed literally at 6:30. We typically close at 6. But it's been that busy in service and parts, online sales. Sold a lot of sleds today. So it's, been good.
That's awesome. Well, that's the thing. It's like other years we haven't been able to ride like this. So the parts consumption's been down, and now you've got oil and breaking things, and your wearables, like your runners and your sliders, like it's got to be good all around for you guys.
And we don't want people to get injured. Don't get me wrong. So that's always important. We want to make sure that people ride safe. That's what we always tell them when they leave the store. But yeah, it's part of snowmobiling. It's it's never a dull adventure, you know.
Oh,
Either
for
it's
sure.
your it's either your sled that could have some problems, or it's your pickup truck or your trailer. It's one of
Yeah.
those three, or maybe a wardrobe malfunction or something like that. But yeah, you
Yeah.
never know.
Don't talk to me about pickup trucks and tow vehicles.
I think the world knows, and we've seen some pictures. I mean, some evidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a sad day, man. Anyway, we'll get it figured out. It's all good.
Yeah.
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 Poor
Oh, what?
Jinx is
Two
knows about
weeks?
that.
Less than 2 weeks to figure it out. I'm sure engine rebuilds don't take that long, right, guys?
Yeah. Well, I said, you know what? We'll get another easy loader, and I'll rent two U-Haul pickups, and we'll load them on like they do
Bam,
up in
custom style.
Lab City, right, Brady?
There you go. Come join us.
That's right. So I was up in Lab City working. Like, do you work for the IOC, or do you know anybody that works for IOC?
Yeah, I actually work for the railway for IOC.
Oh, do you? Right on.
Chippenoor, yeah.
Do you remember the strike back about, what was it, 6 years ago?
Yeah, I remember that. I had a nice few buddies on strike.
Yeah, I was flown in there to do some PI work for the company that owns, well, it was Iron Ore Company that ultimately hired us at the end of the day. So what an awesome little area, man. It's a small, anybody that doesn't know, Labrador City is a major city, you know, in terms of, you know, it's on the map, but it's a small town. If you picture a small village like, say, Port Sydney, but it's got every car dealer, every snowmobile dealer you could think of in it, a big Walmart, Tim Hortons, you name it, right?
It's not too bad. It's a small spot, but we make do with what we got.
All they got, and you got all the amenities there. So I always loved it because you seen the same people driving around, right? There was a girl in a pink pickup truck. Do you know her? Didn't they call her Pinky?
I know the pickup truck you're talking about. Yeah.
See, that's how small of a town it is. It's awesome. I love you guys. It's great. But yeah, so tell us a bit. How'd you get into the whole Cain's Quest thing? You seem to be a young guy. Like, talk to me about your age and everything.
Well, I'm 27 now. The first Cain's Quest was in 2006. I was 8 years old, and I can remember going to the start line with my old man and seeing all the commotion in town and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool. And we had a few family friends. My old man's buddies were always involved with it. So growing up, got to see that, and you kind of, you know, you're in middle school and high school, picking your favorite team and tracking them and watching them and seeing stuff like that. So as things progressed, you know, I always had a bit of a competitive side when it came to anything with a motor. So Cain's Quest in my hometown just made sense.
Right. And then when did you, like, what was your first sled that you actually decided to run in it? Now you're running the Lynx, obviously, right?
Yeah. So 24 last year was my first year actually racing. I was involved for a few years with support teams and volunteer work with organization and stuff like that. But last year was my first year running, and the partner that I had last year already had the Lynx, so I was kind of put down that road. I had to get a Lynx.
Right on. And what do you think is an advantage there for, like, I mean, that's how you got a hold of the show, is I think it was Drew that actually asked one of the other Cain's Quest guests that we had on, why don't you guys, anybody run a Lynx? And you had messaged me right away going, if you want to know about people that run Lynx, I'll gladly come on.
Well, yeah, because to me, it's right from factory. It's like, it's the perfect sled for it. That PPS3 rear skid is like insanely good how it's engineered to take on the bumps. I'm just thinking, like, big bump, long travel sled. You know, it has the same power plant as an XRS, and it's or the 900 turbo, which would be a killer engine for Cain's Quest. It's just like, why does nobody run it? Because I always hear about people running Polarises and the Skidoos and all that, right?
So BRP's kind of dominated Cain's Quest. If you look back through the history, it's always been a Skidoo pretty well in recent years that have won. And the Lynx just needs very little work out of the box to withstand the beating that we put it through.
Isn't it? I mean, wouldn't, because obviously Lynx is from Finland, and from everything we've heard so far, the suspension was made because the terrain in Finland is extremely rugged. There's no OFSC trails, so obviously the quick the run you guys do is very similar. So to Drew's point and Gary's point, the Lynx it's almost was almost made for that.
Yeah, for sure. Like you can notice right off the hop, the Lynx is more suited to rough, banged up trails or lakes or whatever, more than what I'd say a MXZ or an XRS is.
What do you think about the like running a 4-stroke versus a 2-stroke? I mean, some of the people were saying about, I can't recall, Drew, did the guy show us a picture of a Sidewinder that was done up for Cain's Quest, or is that the other race?
No, that was Cain's Quest. Someone had a winder. Yeah.
And it was like, then the guy was
Chris Holmes.
Was it Chris Holmes? Yeah. Okay.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they ran Sidewinders.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there's somewhat with the Sidewinder because they're so heavy. The BRP is a lot lighter than that, right?
Yeah, well, going back to the 850 versus 900 thing, that's a controversial topic anytime we bring it up. Everyone says, last year we ran the 850 Raves or Raves, and for 26, you'll see some pictures later, we chose to run the 900 RX terrain. So going back to your point of heavy 4-stroke, on paper, the 900 RX train is only 37 pounds heavier than the 850 variant.
Yep.
So,
and if you
in
compare
the grand scheme of things, the grand scheme of things, 37 pounds is not a lot, right?
No, not at all. Not when with the gear that you're putting on it and extra hardware, lights and things like that. You really can add on to the weight. Yeah. Well, I had John Luca's generous enough to let me take a Mach Z for the weekend, and you don't notice the weight. I mean, it's a lower weight. Like, you notice the sled is lower than, say, an XRS or the Lynx, but you don't notice that any weight difference, bad or good. Like, it just seems like you're riding a Skidoo, right?
Yeah, it's a different.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say, like, in the really tight trails that we run through, and I'm talking like, an inch on either side of your skis between the trees and stuff like that. Like, you can notice a little bit of weight when you're trying to push it really hard through there fast. But other than that, like, Cain's Quest is almost 2,000 kilometers of ice. So on the lake, I can't find a difference personally. Other people might, if you hop off an 850 onto a 900 and back onto an 850. But those 37 pounds, you don't notice them very much.
Yeah. I can't imagine like 2,000 miles and if you're running a 2-stroke, how much oil you'd have to pack.
You need an oil caddy. I can tell you that.
Yeah, the oil, we burnt through a lot of oil. The 850 does drink it when you're hard on it. The other thing that made us really take the consideration of running the 4-stroke is we're on these lakes, and every year it seems conditions are getting flatter and flatter. So we could be running hours at near wide open on the lake or the sea ice or something like that. So a 2-stroke wide open for hours on end, like, you never really know how it's going to hold up reliability wise,
No, that's right. What kind of things, like, if someone's interested in thinking about doing a race like this, endurance race, whether it's Cain's Quest or even just a local endurance run, like there's the I-500 in Minnesota, What advice do you have to give someone that's actually considering something like this?
Do a lot of research. Every YouTube video and Facebook post, and like do your research at home first before you really put your feet on the ground running. And once you decide, you know, it's for you, go do a lot of riding. If you think you've done enough, go do double, because like a race like ours, there's nothing that can really prepare you training wise. You could be the, you know, the fittest person in the world, but the beating that your body and mind has to endure over the week is, it's crazy. So you really got to be able to put yourself through that.
Right. How do you rely? Like, do you think you have an advantage living there that you have for locals and knowing the area, or is it so extreme that there isn't really an advantage being located where you are?
I would think the locals have a little bit of advantage if you're the type of person who's out running these lakes and tracks and putting in the groundwork, seeing. Obviously, if a team was coming from outside, they'd be at a little bit of a disadvantage, just not being familiar with the area. I know when you had Chris Holmes on, he said that he had no idea what the landscape was going to be like. So I feel like the locals will probably have a little advantage that way.
Yeah, right on. And if you're not from that area, I mean, how do you infiltrate locals to actually get some help and advice? Like, there must be people along the way that you have to lean on for help.
You know, even us here in Labrador City, we rely on contacts in the northern communities and stuff like that for fuel and you know, if we break something, being able to use tools or a shed or something like that. As for people coming from the outside, I would just say, do your homework, see who's involved with the race, and, you know, everyone here is pretty friendly. Send a message or a phone call or something like that. Just say, hey, I'm interested in doing this. Is there any advice you can give me? And I would say 99% of people are going to help you along the way.
Right on. That's a definite thing. Like, do you think that the other racers I mean, they're competitive, but is there some help within teams that if you went on to a group, a Facebook group or whatever ahead of time, you could say, hey, listen, we're coming from this area. Did racers help each other out like that?
Oh yeah, there's definitely some you know, back and forth with help, especially if you can help the team you're trying to lean on a little bit in some way, shape, or form, whether it's gas or parts or support. Or I know last year we teamed up with another team just to put fuel in areas. It's really hard to disperse your support team to ensure you have fuel everywhere. So our support brought fuel to a certain area for them and vice versa, right? So our guys didn't have to kind of juggle everything.
Yeah, right. That's pretty cool. I mean, you gotta admit, like, you're in the middle of nowhere and it's almost life and death in some of the situations that people have described, right? So you're not going to let anyone hang out to dry too much in that case, are you?
No, absolutely not. And everyone that we came across that was stopped or stuck or had the side panel off their machine working on, there's, you know, I'm not going to stop and rebuild your machine for you, but I'm going to stop and make sure that you're all right and you got support on the way, or I'm not going to let anyone freeze.
Yeah, exactly. Is there satellite phones? Like, what do you carry with you for communication if there is any problems?
So every team is equipped with a tracking beacon, we'll say, and there's multiple buttons on. I don't have one here to show you, but there's an SOS button which is direct to Cain's Quest headquarters. You know, if you wipe out bad or you end up in the water, or there's just something that's emergency, hit the SOS button, and if weather is good, there will be a chopper dispatched or ground search or something of that nature. As for us for communicating with our support, I would like to say before sat phones were a big thing. Lately with new technologies and that we all carry it's called a Garmin inReach, and it allows you to send text messages back and forth, and there's some teams had Starlinks with their support, and the Starlink Mini is out now, so I expect to see those on a few sleds.
Yeah, I seen someone mounting one to one of those Link universal adapter brackets. Pretty clever idea that you can use. It's cool because I've got one for work. You don't need to point it. You can point it for better signal, but you can just mount it wherever you want and point it in any direction. It'll work, right?
For sure.
We're gonna do we're gonna do event. Dad, one day we'll have to eventually do a live stream on the trail, eh?
Yeah,
the like
absolutely.
universal bracket.
Yeah,
do like Devil's Mountain in Quebec.
Yeah, I know it has to work locally though. I'm connected to our network, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pardon me dinging. I'm getting a lot of texts right now. I don't.
That's all right. I keep hearing your phone go off over there. You're popular.
No, it's the computer, and I tried and mute it, and then I lost all the volume. So I apologize for that. So, here's a question here: is support required to make it checkpoint to checkpoint? Here we go. Are gas stations in communities prevalent enough not to need a team? How does the gas situation work? That's my question. Thank you, from the main snow line.
The communities with pumps, you can obviously get the gas at the pumps, but you could be trying to think of our longest stint between a community with gas pumps. It's long. You definitely either need people out on the ground with gas waiting for you or bringing gas to you, or you got to carry it on the machine. And if I don't have any pictures of machines from many races ago, but it was nothing to see machines leave with like 15 gallons of gas strapped to the tunnel, especially teams that just didn't have the support crews available to go out. They had to carry their own fuel.
Yeah. Jeez.
How fast do you guys go? What's the average speed?
Average speed is really hard to say. I don't have it here. I want to say probably like 70 to 80 if you were to add up the average speed of the full week, because sometimes you're doing 160, 170 on the speedo. This isn't GPS corrected, but that's what it's showing me on the dash. But other times you might be doing 5 kilometers an hour. So
yeah,
is relevant. The past few races have been really fast on the lakes. We've seen some really high speeds clicked off on the ice.
How's it looking this year, the conditions?
The race isn't till next year, but as for 25, we don't have a lot of snow. It's been a deep freeze here in Lab City for the past week or two, minus 30 to minus 50, I'll say. We got lots of ice now, but just we're really lacking in the snow department.
Is that right? Usually your snowbanks are so high you can't see the houses behind them.
Yeah, it's not typical to what we were used to, but it seems like every year, trending the past couple of years, we've had less and less.
All the snow is in Midland, Ontario.
Yeah. And St. Mary's.
Yeah.
They've got a ton. Nathan M says, do you ever have an issue with fouled plugs when doing endurance races? How fast can you change the plugs out in this case? They aren't easy to get to.
Well, I don't run a Polaris, so.
And that's what I commented back to him.
I can say with my race experience, I never fouled a plug. I ran 850 last year and I ran top notch while we were in it. So No, I've never fouled one.
Yeah, and your 4-stroke, you're definitely not going to have that issue for sure. Tim Weiss, he says, do you carry battery, clothing, etc. in case a sled dies?
No battery operated clothing or electric gloves or jackets or anything like that. We don't like relying on it. And really, if the sled dies, that battery's not lasting very long out in the cold.
Yeah, that's true, right?
Cold, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a believer in the Milwaukee heated stuff, so.
yeah. You had that experience Saturday night. Your jacket
honestly,
died
well, it died when we got home. It was good. Like when the truck broke down, you were sitting in the truck freezing, and I was standing on the side of the 400 talking to the CAA guy, actually quite toasty warm. I just have like the hoodie one, so it was just under my jacket, and it's like, oh yeah, no, it's great. But then the battery died. Oh crap!
I left my toque in the glove box of the mock, and I was like, I didn't have a toque, and there was no heat in the truck, and I'm going like, I'm not getting out on the highway, that's for sure. Lachlan Sutherland says, how spread out do you guys get? 10 kilometers between riders or over 100 kilometers?
I'm not sure if they're asking like two teammates or separate teams. Separate teams could be, the race course is 33 to 3,500 kilometers, so anywhere in between. But as for me and my partner, we kind of like to keep it close to each other. Not close enough that I'm kissing his back bumper around every turn, but like we don't like to get away. We run the communicators in the helmets. So, if I'm behind or my partner's behind and I have an issue or something like that, I just come over to the communicator, I'm stopping, and he'll usually wait for me.
Yeah, that's good. That's a nice thing about having the comms. You don't have to worry about, if the guy does have a problem behind you, you don't see it, that you just leave him sitting, and that could be miles before you realize it, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Ethan Reed says, what do you think the challenge is with switching to an X-Terrain 900 versus the Rabe 850 last year? What are the challenges going to be?
The challenges with switching from the 850 to the 900, well, the chassis is different. Obviously, we're going from a 137 to a 146. I'm not happy about that. I actually really like the 137 Rave chassis. I believe it's more stable at speed, and it handles the bumps a little better. Another issue or challenge, we'll say, is fuel mileage. Trying to figure out what that 900 turbo air is going to be like, revved out for a long time. So we've got some testing to do in that case. Other than that, they're pretty well the same machines. We don't have to worry about carrying oil. The weight, we address that. I'm not worried about 37 pounds.
I can tell you this is the fuel consumption on the Turbo R is way ahead of an 850. Like I had it on the weekend. I didn't have to stop. Others had to, pull by the side and refuel a little bit. I never carried a gas caddy all weekend long. Everybody else did. I was one of 3 4-stroke, but the only 900 Ace Turbo R and the only Lynx. But it performed amazing on gas consumption, and oil, of course, absolutely, for sure. But gas really surprised me. Yeah.
What motor are you running in, John Luke? Are you running an Eco or Sport?
No, I was a normal. I didn't put in the Sport because I was still breaking it in. But
yeah, okay.
I was not an Eco. Yeah, not at all. Just
in the Sport mode, I find it's kind of worse than the 850 natural aspirated.
Could be.
It's not much though. Like we're talking on par. Eco I ran and it was about the same, right, Drew? Like I went from gas station to gas station, and
comparing it to my
compared
sled?
to yours, yeah.
But like I did have a good point to you, and it was the fact that I got stuck multiple times, played in the soft powder, wheelied over every hill, did all my normal XRS stuff, and then you're comparing it to the Mach. Like I think that if you had the Mach in Sport, it would be not even a question. but it's not like you weren't keeping up. So I guess it's really like, it's a
Yeah,
wash. You're a liter more, maybe a liter and a half more.
Yeah. Like I wasn't. Yeah, like it wasn't.
Let's say if I didn't get stuck a bunch and didn't get off trail, let's say I burned a liter less fuel. Like so in eco, it's
nominal,
similar, right?
Yeah, it was
well, Jinx says right there, and he's absolutely right. Those are pretty much the exact number I got. So the 900 with me says over the week was $9 to $12 less every fill up, and that's pretty much what I got. I'll tell you, to a Polaris, I'm happy to report it was $18 less. Like both were full. I don't know the number of liters in the Polaris, mind you, but it was on an Assault. And when we got to the gas station, we bet, and I lost the bet because I thought they might have done a little better than they did, but so I had to pay the gas. But it was $18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't, they were doing 130, 140 a lot. I don't know what I compared with Corey. But I was just going off of what Drew, I thought there was going to be a bigger gap there, to be honest, but it was on par, you know.
Yeah. I think we didn't check after we got, so we just rode local, yesterday. Cause obviously we couldn't trail anywhere. We did both fill up in the morning, and it was again that liter difference that we saw at every gas station. But I would have been really curious to see after yesterday, where we both kind of rode the same speed. We were about 100 to 80K an hour average. We weren't really booking it. There was no off trail excursions or extracurriculars on the trail. So I think when you go fill them up next, Dad, I'd like to see what the numbers are then, because I think
I'll have a look at that. Right? Yeah. The 850T was thirsty, Jinxie says.
And then with the 850 turbo, if you want to compare those two sleds, you're talking putting ice and oil in now.
Ice is not. It's not that much. It's not that.
No,
much.
Like Corey says, he hardly uses any ice, if anything. Right? He wouldn't have used any Saturday when it was really cold.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So no, that's cool. No, it's good to know. Like you've got a lot more power than a naturally aspirated 850. That's for sure. You're going from like 150 horse or whatever they say it claimed it to be, 164 to 180. You know, like there's not really any difference, like any comparison there, because the power is so much different, right? So yeah, but yeah, it's power. Massart says not wide open throttle enough. LOL.
Power wise, the turbo isn't like we weren't worried about power. That's not the reason we chose a turbo, or we chose it for the 4-stroke, just to have a bit of that 4-stroke reliability and not having to carry oil. I really wish BRP offered, I guess, similar to the old 1200, like even if they come out with a 150 to 160 horsepower naturally aspirated 4-stroke with no turbo on it. I might be one of the few people that says I don't necessarily need the turbo, but I think that machine would sell a lot, especially maybe not so much in the trail applications, but the utility side of things.
Yeah, we still have a lot of people ask for those. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems some people are still a little leery of the turbo and stuff like that. So if BRP ever came out with like a 1,000 or 1,100 cc naturally aspirated 150 horsepower 4-stroke, I think they'd sell a lot of them.
Yeah,
it's a super engine for sure.
Yeah, there's a guy we ran into with a Sidewinder at the Drumbo Clubhouse, and he said the same thing, that the 1200s. He goes, "Those are awesome. Like, wonder why they stopped." And he goes, "Do you know if they'd ever do it again?" And it's like, I'm not sure. I'm not an engineer. Are you going to tune your 900R, Brady?
This has been a conversation we've had a lot lately. Actually, we're in talks with Precision EFI. They offer a lot of 900R parts. Not for power. Like I said, we have more than enough power, more than we'll ever need. 180 horsepower. Like it's not a speed race. I know I spoke about we travel faster every year, but you're not going to do 200 kilometers an hour on sea ice. Unless it's like a skating rink, it's impossible.
Yeah.
But if Precision EFI is telling me that their stage 1R package is gives a little better fuel economy, so if that's true, like I said, we're still in the early stages of talking to them. If that's true, then yeah, we'd probably consider it.
Yeah, they've got that new map app too. That process, I did a video on that from the Toronto show, and that's where you can actually see the results that the Precision EFI tunes do, right? And you can tweak them on the fly.
Yeah, we got lots of time, to race it until next year. This year, we're building sleds, we're testing suspension setups and fuel setups and ski setups. So we're out trying to break them. Really, we're out pounding on them, trying to see what parts are going to fail. And so far, so good. Nothing has, but hopefully over the summer now we'll link up with Precision and get that done.
Right on. Scott Worst says, what kind of gear do you carry with you?
So there's a list of mandatory gear. I don't have it in front of me, but it's basic survival stuff. You got to take a tarp, a sleeping bag, a bivy bag, 2 lighters, pack of matches, a way to boil water, tow rope, just some pretty food for 2 days, like ration packs kind of deal, and a change of clothes. That's mandatory. Other than that, we try to carry very little on the machine. We try to keep it as light as possible. Few spare tools, spare goggles, mitts, that kind of stuff, cords for the heated goggles. Other than that, we do not carry a lot of gear. We try our very hardest to minimize what we take on the machine. We're actually going to try to take a little less this year. I won't get too much into it, but we're going to try to be as minimalistic as possible.
Nice. Does both sleds kind of carry a mirror of items with them just in case?
Yeah, for the most part, we both carry, our mandatory gear, with the exception of some that you only need one of. Like, we only need one jet boil or way to boil water kind of deal. I think we'll switch it up a bit this year and have one sled carrying, the mandatory gear and one sled carrying the tools or something along those lines, just to keep it more organized.
Right. Yeah. Tim V says, are there mandatory breaks along the way?
Yeah, there's mandatory layovers. This year we had 4 mandatory layovers, and they range from 8 hours to 12 hours. So you get to a checkpoint, it could be 600 kilometers away, and you might have a 10-hour break or a 12-hour break or something like that off the clock.
And how does it work as far as the sweepers go? Can you talk a bit about that? Like, if you're lagging behind or your team isn't showing up, how do they know, or when do they cut you off?
So for the duration of the race, you can be as behind as you want, really. However behind you are. Like, we've left checkpoints 24 hours before another team checks in. But once the race leader crosses the finish line, you have 18 hours before technically you're DNF. You're DQ'd for timing it.
Yeah. And when do they do that? Like, how did you actually say that? I was reading something. Like, what is the time limit that they give you on that?
18 hours. Once
18 hours?
The first place team crosses the line, every other team has 18 hours to make it to finish the race within the time allowed.
Perfect. Why would someone want to do the Cains quest? Like, what is there a big prize at the end of the day, or is it glory? Is it bragging rights? Why would you do it?
I don't know. I've been asking myself that. I've asked myself that a lot. You're not doing it for money. There's the first place prize is 50 grand. second place is 30, third place is 20, I believe. That's it. That's the money involved, but you will never recoup the cost of doing the race. If you can come first, and unless you really pinched your pennies, you're not. Well, John Luke can probably attest that a machine isn't getting any cheaper.
No, they don't.
So by the time your team buys 2 brand new machines and outfits them and pays registration and pays for fuel and pays your support team's way throughout the week, you're definitely not doing it to get rich. But I think it will be mostly to really see how far you can push yourself and your machine, and see how well you can come up with kind of a game plan.
Now, did you say that Lynx or BRP is providing you the machines this year?
No, we're in no way sponsored by Lynx or BRP.
Really? Wow, interesting. Did you ever think of approaching them at all, or because to me there's a real story there of durability and toughness, right?
I've spoken to some of the from the actual Lynx manufacturer across the pond. I've spoke to those guys and girls, and they're awesome. Yanni Tapio and some of those guys. Like we've spoken a lot about Sled setup, and he's given me a little bit of advice here and there on changes he'd make. As for Lynx North America, I haven't been able to get a contact.
Well, yeah, because the true contacts is BRP here in Quebec. So you're much closer than you think to them.
Yeah.
But a lot of the folks, I just put a note there. I'll try to touch base with the guys who are in BRP Europe, because they're pretty close to the Lynx guys, which they pronounce lunks.
Yeah,
that's how they pronounce it. Yeah. But to me, like it speaks to the durability, much like the King of the Hammer, or the where we put in the X3 Can-Am X3s, right? The big Mavericks.
Yeah.
That type of race, the indoor race, is much the same, but for winter. So
if Lynx wanted to test parts and test the durability of the machine,
for sure,
there is no better place to do it. I always tell people the first day of our race, there is no way my machine should have held up to the abuse I put it through.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was amazed. I came home amazed that machine was in one piece.
Wow. Very cool.
That's a testament meant to the PPRS 3 suspension for sure.
Well, before, and I'll admit, before this Cains Quest, I was not a BRP person. I own no BRPs. I can't say I was against them. I never really owned one. I took that Lynx and took it around Labrador, and I'm a believer. Like, you will not find a better machine.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. It takes about 500 feet up the trail, and you'll realize that it's totally different,
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we never really had an issue that wasn't self-inflicted, we'll say. As for the machine just holding up for what it is, we did not break a component on the machine that didn't have something to do with, like, no components of that machine were actually broken.
Yeah. Do you do anything like Chris was doing, where he's beefing up like the rails, or are you running completely stock?
One part of the suspension components, I had a good friend of mine weld in a little piece of flat bar. The only reason we done it was in case the stock weld broke. That was it. We didn't do it for reinforcement as per se. It's just in case that stock, because stuff happens. Mm-hmm. If that stock weld broke, that would do it. But other than that one piece, we did not beef up those sleds at all. I don't think. We added a grip and rip kit to the front end just to kind of brace up the S module. Other than that, we've done very, very little.
That's wicked. We're going to see some photos too of your sleds, and we can talk more about them there. Do you change anything about your seat to make it more comfy, or what are your thoughts on the factory seats?
You could have a lazy boy and it wouldn't be comfy by the end of that race. The factory seats in 2022, which was the year that we raced, I wasn't a huge fan of the link seat. It was kind of angled down towards the gas cap, and when you were riding across the lake, you were kind of always sliding into it. It's awesome for beat up, whooped out trails because you can really move around. And it was a little firm. What I ran a seat. It's a little softer and a little longer off a Renegade XRS. That's what I ran. My partner last year ran BRP offers it as an accessory. I think it's called the comfort seat. Could be wrong, but that's what he ran. It's a little softer, a little wider, similar to an expedition seat. So that's what we done last year. For the upcoming one, I'm kind of starting to like the new link seat on the 25s. It is firm, but I'm going to have to do some more testing before I decide to change that one out.
Right on. Right on. Well, Drew, you want to do a roll call and see who's in the house? And
sure, we can do that. Let's get back all the way back up to the top. Okay, so in the chat tonight, we got Ethan Reed. We got Just Fly Low, Corey Brock. Hold on, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. My chat isn't. I don't got all the chat all the way back. I got to scroll up. YouTube isn't showing me the whole chat. It must be because it's so many people active tonight. Sorry, let me start right from the top. So Tim V says, "How's everybody doing?" Ron Kestelut's in the chat tonight.
You see his comment? You see Ron's comment?
Ready
about
for
the green?
Great...
No, he said about the green. Did you everybody see there's green trails in Sudbury?
Oh, okay, yeah. Lachlan Sutherland says, "Hey guys." Corey Brock says, "Fellas." Olive Garden Gnomes in the chat tonight. LaPointe's Gate 100R. Who else? Denon Oosterman's in here. The main snow line. We had a comment from him pull up. Sunset Trail Riders in the chat tonight. Uncle Buck says good evening. Nathan M says the same. We got Kelly Maloney's in the chat tonight. Iron Moose is back again. Mason Villemier's.
Both those guys coming up. Both those people are coming up.
Yeah. We got Mason Villemier again from last week. Sent in some photos. Burns in the chat again tonight. Just Snowman in here. Who else we got? Looks like
Odie was in there earlier.
I'm still going through. I'm at 7 p.m. still, Dad.
Kirk King. Oh yeah, you're 46 minutes behind.
Iola Segatuck. Wow. Okay. Dan Smith, Patrick and Carrie Shell.
Hey, they're going to the lodge.
Oh, okay, cool. Didn't know that one. Well, and Corey Jinks is in here, of course, as well, saying that he really wished he could come to lodge sessions, but he's got some stupid thing on Quebec that weekend.
John Luke's using that excuse too.
Something skidoo or other. I don't know.
I'll be in Ontario, but yeah. I know what you're doing, Corey.
Yeah, Jacob Massart's in here. There you go. I'll just say the name again. Oh no, maybe not. Tim Druin's in here. Scott Wurst. I just need to keep going down here. I don't know if anybody else. Mike Vet Fan 1967's in here.
He had a comment on my truck, actually.
Yeah, outdoor hobby guy. Lloyd 709. Kirk King. Wisco Sledheads. Alex. Who else? Tim Harris. Wow, a lot of people active tonight.
Rob Overholt, he's an Energy Power Sports fan.
Yep, Rob Overholt. Yep. I think is that everybody that's been in the chat. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. There's a new one. There's another one.
I'll see Energy Power Sports tomorrow picking up the new unit. I'm pumped.
A little concerned that it's Satan, but
no, it's just his left nut. You're fine.
You're all right.
What's Wisco?
That's awesome.
You'll know him when he walks through the door. I think that, there'll be signs.
Awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, earlier in the chat, I saw there's some people commenting about the BRP Go app, and I don't know whether or not you can see him, Drew, but
Yep.
Some of you may remember, for those of you who come to Energy Power Sports, my nephew Matthew, who used to work here at Energy, is now actually a BRP employee, and he's actively working on the BRP Go app and all the connectivity. He works in a connectivity department in marketing. There he is. There you go. Hello. So if anyone's got some questions on that or some comments and things you'd like to see, he's gathering some feedback and all that stuff. So send it to me. You can email me at info@energypowersports.ca, and I'll relay it back to him. But yeah, BRP's got a whole team dedicated to making this app, and there's lots of cool stuff happening on that app. I think that could be some of the things we'll hear about at Club, but yeah, he's actively working on this. So for those of you running that big gauge or the BRP Go app and all that stuff, and all that connectivity is I don't know whether or not, Brody, you guys use it very, very much if you got the big screen on your sled, but I really enjoy mine, and I think I showed Corey Brock a little trick today because actually I didn't know about something, and my nephew Matthew explained something to me that I was doing wrong on my iPhone, and he managed to help me out while I was on the trail. So it's pretty cool. Very cool.
Well, that's the thing. I think from just running it the last few years and Corey and I had this conversation on Saturday, like the changes they've made this year have been awesome. And then we ran into a guy on the trail that kind of, he was running BRP Go, and he was kind of backwards and upside down, and he apologized to me afterwards because I put it in the video. I think he was too hard on BRP Go. And Corey said the same thing. You have to spend some time with it. And especially in Ontario, the trails, they're not accurate until a groomer does 4 complete passes. So right now, a lot of clubs haven't done that yet. So you may be leaving a black breadcrumb and the trail is showing somewhere else on the map. And it's not very often it happens, but that's what happened in this guy's case. But and that's the thing, he was over at my house. He popped in for a visit there last week, and he goes, I just have to give it more time and have some more intuition on what the area is that I'm going. Like you kind of have to know where you're, directionally where you're heading, north, south, east, or west, and then put it together when you do go off on an area where there is no trail showing and you're plotting a path, right?
Yeah, there's just some nuances on it's both hardware and software. I saw someone, I think it was Corey Jinks, he said pre-download the ride, it's flawless. So you got to make sure that you always update that before you go. It's a bit of a habit. If you run Apple, obviously, that they put a lot of updates, and sometimes they'll change the settings in your phone without you knowing. It resets to default. One of the simple things that I showed Corey today is in your settings, if you guys have an iPhone, in your settings, when you go to displays and brightness, you'll find just a little bit at the bottom, the auto lock. And the auto lock, for me, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, by default is 2 minutes because it's trying to preserve the battery. You set it to never. And that's just a little thing. Yeah, it's just a little thing. Exactly. You got it.
Yeah.
And then the wire has got to be OE. It cannot be one of those cheap Petro-Canada or Walmart, stuff from China. It's got to be the original OE. Otherwise, it could actually not work all that well. So there's just these little things. Mathieu just piped in. He says, map on the gauge with built-in GPS as model year 25. Yeah. So, but it's just going to keep on getting better and better. There's so many cool things that they're going to come out with. This is the future of how it's going to bring the social aspect of and the interaction between riders.
Yeah, that's what
I think people are just expecting more of it right now, even though, like, when you really think about it, BRP Go came out 4 years ago now. Like, it's still a relatively new thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And like Polaris Ride Command is nowhere near the level of BRP Go, and that's just something that is a true fact. in terms of like the mapping, having accurate trails. I love the buddy connect feature. I love how they changed it this year where instead you're in a group. So regardless if you're all sharing the same itinerary, one person's just dropping a breadcrumb, you can still see each other. I think that's a cool change. I love the app, and I just run it on a phone case. So obviously I don't have the gauge related issues. But if I'd say one thing, I think that we're at the technology point with like wireless CarPlay sort of type thing for BRP Go, like BRP Connect would change it. Like if you could just have it connect to the gauge with it in your pocket here or in the glove box charging would be the game changer. So like that tethered cord, maybe it's charging, but it's not having to send the data through that. That could be something to for the BRP technicians to look into.
Absolutely. Sure. I have to do this though, because the roll call was brought to you by...
Tired of dealing with worn out carbides and scratchers that just won't scratch your itch? You deserve better. It's time to upgrade your ride with Quali Pieces. Quali Pieces is the leader in specialized snowmobile accessories, bringing you innovative products that solve the everyday problems we all face on the trails. From their durable, long-lasting carbides, Trailblazer ice scratchers, to their ingenious roller ski, Quali Pieces has redefined quality and performance. Have a taste of their specialized carbides at qualipieces.com and take your snowmobile to the next level.
There we go. Better late than never, they say, right?
Your carbides.
McCleary just walked in. He said he just got in late again from sledding, but conditions are great. He's up in the Dorset area.
Oh, nice one.
I was there on the weekend.
Right on. Man, like the snow this year has been incredible. It's been such a great year.
It's been a blessing after last season, to say the least.
Yeah.
People,
So I got that Mach Z, John Luke, has that glove box extension on with the phone holder in it.
Yeah, it's cool, eh?
And I got to tell you, that thing is awesome. Like, I never rode a sled with running maps like that. Like, we have the RAM mount for the XRS that we run our maps on. But that thing puts it so you don't even have to really look down. Like, you just glance, and it's like, as far as safety goes, it's well designed, perfect location. Totally makes a lot of people love that extra storage and stuff, and it totally makes that whole area make sense on a sled. I really enjoy it.
I up until we had the big screen, every one of my sled had that. I just think it was a real cool feature. Plus, it kept your phone warm as well, but it was just not nice. You could still touch it. It was really cool.
Yeah, and you don't that still has and I said that to Drew when I started the sled up. I go, I forgot how nice this gauge is, like the 7.8-inch panel.
Yeah, a nice gauge.
It's just a beautiful looking gauge. The colors and everything are really cool on it.
It's very BRP. If I'd say like one comment, it's got like that very much like cutting edge technology. I think it's just too small.
Yeah, but it's not when you run the phone above it.
True. If you're not, because the map takes up half one of those two little screens, which I think was always the problem with it on the sled, right?
What did I say? It was like the size of an iPhone 4 kind of thing when it was running on the old one. And it's like, when it's up on my bigger phone, it was cool. I just had to say that glove box extension, that's a big plus for that sled. I mean, that Mach Z is for sale. If anyone's looking for one, it's an awesome sled. It's been, it gets my stamp of approval on it.
How many Ks now?
What's that?
How many Ks are on it now?
2,000 probably. It was at 18. I think it was at 1890 at the end of Barrie, and we did 110K yesterday. So I think it should just
So it's hovering around 2,000. So
we have that Mach Z. We just sold one on Friday. We have two. This one and another one we just took on trade.
Nice. Right on. Yeah, no, and I say I've got a little review video I'm trying to put out tomorrow, and I think probably in the used sled market, it's probably the best value bang for your buck sled that you can get.
It's a lot of stuff, for sure.
Smart shocks, you got a nice gauge. That one there, you've got the accessories, you've got the LED high beams, you got the B2 stingers in it. You put the link tunnel protector on it. Yeah, like you've appointed that sled so perfectly.
You're also forgetting, Dad, with that sled, not only smart shocks, but you're also getting the 900 Turbo R, which was the first year that engine came out. It's an amazing engine. You're getting the that one in particular has the 1.25 with studs in it, so it's a great it'll be a great ripping sled. And also with the 900 turbo being a Mach Z, it was the first sled to get the launch mode on it, which I think is just a cool party trick in terms of.
Did you try it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah.
I tried it.
He didn't remember how to do it, and I just went over and I'm like, hold the brake. I think you hold sport, and it went launch ready, and I'm like, just give it throttle and let go of the brake and see what happens.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
It's cool. And it was hooking up so good. Like this weekend, there's so much bass out there. It's hooking up so good. Like it's perfect conditions for trying out the toys like launch mode, and it's pretty cool. My buddy Grant has the Mach Z, and he messaged me on Saturday and he said, "How you liking it?" And I said, "Good." He goes, "Now take it up to 70 miles an hour and punch it."
It feels like it's just, like when I'm trying to follow you and be with you on the 850, there just gets to a point when the 850 is faster. Like I think that 900 turbo engine blows the track off in terms of just because how fast.
Yeah, it spins a lot, right?
Comes on.
Yeah.
But like when you're on a lake, there gets to a point when the 850 NA just hits like a wall, and it seems like my sled's losing because the power curve of a two-stroke is like that down. That just feels like it's like this, and it isn't gonna stop, and he's just gone.
You can still keep pushing,
yeah.
Yesterday, there was some trails we went through Mexico, and I let her hang, and it was you remember out in Drumbo, and there was those two straightaways. Yeah, it took me a while to catch up to me. That's the thing; it's off the bottom. I mean, it's a sleeper, but once you get the thing rolling, it's pretty crazy. But I got a video coming out, and it's a different driving. You'll appreciate this, Brady, because you're running them. But when you're in twisties, I found the trick was to not let off on the throttle. Like you let it come back, but you don't let it totally out, because
don't lose the boost.
As soon as it growls at you, you lost the boost. So you got to rebuild that back up to get it back into the power zone. So we were going through some real twisties, and the two strokes were kind of getting away from me. And all of a sudden I started not getting all the way out of the throttle. And I was corner to corner, way like night and day difference of before, when I was trying to drive it like a two stroke, where you're letting off, you're steering, you're getting back into it. You just don't let that thing spool down. You keep that turbo spool, and then when you get back into it, it just pulls.
And you also said, Dad, the engine braking on it being so much more. If you do that naturally thing on the two-stroke where you let off, it backs down and gears down so much quicker. You said, like, you can't even compare it. Like, you had to relearn how to ride.
Yeah,
like, we were gone in the morning in the twisty stuff. Me and Corey were gone from you, but by the end of the day, you're right with us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it's a definite different riding. Learning it, but you get a feel. It was same as the Lynx. By the end of the day, I was riding it like it was a dirt bike. I was like jumping over anything that came at me, and it's like, and then the Mach was the same way. By the end of the day, I learned it. Right? You learn what it wants, and it talks to you. What did I say to you on the comms? And Corey, in the morning, you asked me like, "Come on, let's go," and I go, "Hey, I'm just having a glass of wine with it, whining and dining it, getting to know her,
Can't say I did the same thing when I tried Corey's comp out.
Yeah, I'm taking her out for dinner, and
He lets you try the comp?
Yes, he did actually let me get on the comp, and I was set on getting a Rave next year, but son of a B GLS is now on my mind.
Yeah, I ran into a buddy, Brad Rumble, at the Drumbo Snowmobile Clubhouse. We were shooting a breeze, and he has a real nice Yamaha SRX with a 310 horsepower tune on it. So we're sitting there, and I go, man, like he's got the track studded. Like I don't know how many studs were in this thing. There was a lot. And then he's sitting there and goes, "You want to take it up the trail and back? Get on it." And I'm going, Are you sure? Like, I can't let you ride mine. I'm sorry, but if you go up the trail and back, that's all right. So, holy cow! If you thought Corey Brock's turbo pulls, this thing here My knuckles when I got home last night were dragging on the ground.
I was laughing so hard when you finally, because it's like when it was first going, it was cold, and like that second hit you did on it, it was just like across the field. It was just it's like that from a distance. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Hilarious.
But hey, Brady, you want to get into fan photos and talk more about your excursion and see what other people in the chat are up to?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do this.
Fan photos are brought to you by Fast Track Snowmobile Traction. This season, quit sliding sideways on the ice and losing races to your buddies. A Fast Track stud kit will help you with improved braking and give you the arm-ripping acceleration you crave. I put over 3,000 clicks last season on my Renegade 850, and I'll tell you, these studs exceeded my expectations. Not one broken stud, my idle wheels still look like new, and they hooked up like I was on rails in the twisties, inspiring confidence every ride. Fast Track Top Gun kits are the highest rated stud kit at 4.9 stars with over 230 reviews. The studs are heat treated stainless so they are strong and they don't rust. The kit is lighter, easier on the track, and has a lifetime warranty against breaking. Each kit comes with a track specific template for complete balance with over double the scratch lines from stock templates. All listeners when purchasing a stud kit can get a free install kit, a $30 value. Visit fasttrack.co, add both products to the cart, and use the coupon code SNOW at the checkout. That's fasttrac.co.
There we go. And on that, Brady, Gron Keslut says, Brady, do you run the stock track and studs on that Lynx?
On X-Terrain, yeah, that's what we're currently running. That's the 1.6 Ice Cobra, I believe. Is what that one is. I'm starting to like the Ice Cobra a little less. The lugs are kind of soft, and there's not quite enough studs in it. Like I said, we got the Rave or the Rave 2 with the 1.25, and it's a stiff lug with a lot more pre-studs in it. I actually prefer that. We've been looking around at a couple different track options. But as for right now, yes, we're going to run the 1.6 that came stock on the X-Terrain.
Nice. Yeah, we found that 1.6 Ice Cobra really soft, like lugs will break off, right?
Yeah, they fold over, and when in the hard pack, I just find there's not enough traction with it. So we've been looking at a couple different I don't want to get into putting the actual studs in it just for the type of race we're doing.
Yeah.
But we have been looking at a few pre-studded options. There's a new one out that we might experiment.
Yeah. Have you looked into that Ice Arrowhead track?
Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to. There's lots of studs in it by the looks of it. The lugs look stiff. So I may have to bite the bullet and give that one a try.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're angled as well, and it's a bigger stud in it. Like it's more like a tip of a traditional stud, which is
for sure.
Cool. So if you do run it, let me know what you think. There's a lot of people talk about it in the chats, and
yeah, we don't know how long our 1.35 Cobra is gonna be on this Earth for on my 2018.
And it's the same. Go ahead, Brady.
Well, like I said, it's been a big topic of conversation between me and my race partner. So I would say we're going to end up trying one in the near future. So I'll give you a good review.
Sweet.
Awesome. That's great. John Luke sent me this photo in.
That's my demo there. So I love that sled. It's so far definitely top 3 of all the demos we've had here in the last 6 years. Really, really enjoyed that sled.
Very cool.
X-Terrain, that other turbo, it's really great.
And that looks like it sits a lot higher than, say, a Mach, which was designed to be low, right? Like it was designed to be low
for lake riding, right? That was the whole point of the Mach, was the lake racing type of sled. So what you see there, the background, this is Queen Elizabeth Wildland behind my cottage, and it's about 12 cottages where we're all together. You don't see them, but they're parked beside me. I just took a picture of the sled on its own, but we literally go out there and open up the trails. They used to be OFSC trails years ago, and so we go back, but we have to open them up, and that sled just does super well. If it was a mock, it would have a little more difficulty, but this, just because it sits a little bit higher, it's perfect. It's great. I didn't get stuck once with it, and we're in pretty deep snow at some point.
Does that have the 2-inch powder max on it?
No. This is it's a 1.8. I think I have 1.8. I think I have on this one. Okay. It's an Ice Cobra that we have on this one.
Oh, so the 1.6. If it's the Ice Cobra.
1.6. Okay, sorry, yeah, 1.6. The other unit we have is 1.8.
Yeah, they are great in deep snow. It's the lugs bend and break easy. His 1.35 is already losing lugs, and it's so they're quite soft.
Quebec, though.
That was part of it. My favorite part of this sled, John Luke, is the little LED lights in the grill. They look like teeth.
Yeah. Everybody says the same thing. Like it just that the look of that sled. You know, you remember when we launched Lynx in 22, people thought, oh, it's just a red Skidoo. It is absolutely not just a red Skidoo.
No,
it's I wanted to have an all black one. I couldn't get my hands on one, unfortunately, but and next year maybe. But yeah, it is just a different animal.
Yeah, the red is the Lynx brand, right? Like I think it
is.
I think you need red if you're getting a Lynx. Like you said, it's like a Ferrari.
Yeah. So this is my brother-in-law actually on my second unit on a backcountry XRS Turbo R 850.
Nice.
It's you can tell by the front we went into a little bit of slush, and so a little bit of ice built up on the lakes, but that sled just performs so well. That Turbo R in an 850 is a lot of fun for sure.
And they even made the OFSC passes match the sled this year.
This year it does. Yeah, this one, you're right. Yeah.
It almost looks like he was riding too close to the back of the 900R. He's gotten just pelted with ice.
Yeah. Well, we rode side by side, but we crossed a lot of lakes, and sometimes we got into that slushy water. So by the time we got onto proper terrain, it just stuck on the sleds.
Yeah, very cool. You had one of those in the showroom when we were there, and it was I love that color.
Yeah, flare yellow, they call it. Yeah,
it's flare yellow. That's the actual name for it.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are off put by it, but I remember when we went to the Skidoo
a show,
the launch event in, well, it was at Heydays as well, but like when we first saw like the launch event that was in Toronto there in middle of March, seeing that free ride with the skis that like with the black and all that, like it's very much like a CNA style where they did like the black pigment in the skis and then that flare yellow. It's like, that's just such a good looking color and then on the white snow too, it's just such a good looking color.
Yeah, that looks really.
I don't care what people say.
It's always like that though. Like you can't get an idea in a hotel lobby how these things are going to look. You have to see them on the snow.
Yeah, the silver and the burgundy is slowly growing on me. It's still not my favorite color scheme they've done, but it looks better on the snow than it did in the parking lots when it came out.
Yeah, and it's almost like you see it, and I always go, that makes sense. Like, and in social groups, the colors will get slaughtered, but then when you see on the snow, you go, oh, that looks amazing, right? So. Throwing Spark says, hey, happy Saturday, GP and crew. I just received my power cord, 2 decals, and a QR code for more info concerning LJE products. Thank you for providing the Snowmobile Sessions platform. Safe travels, Tim. So that's awesome. Tim got that. One of the contest winners on the show. So that was very cool.
Was that the thing that Did we do a giveaway on the LJE show? Was this one of the things that Buddy sent out? This is what John sent out.
With
Gibbsy.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Gibbsy, yep. He sent that out to him. So, but if you want any LG products, you can use the coupon code MUDBRATS for 15% off at ljproducts.com.
We need to get more pictures of those trail lights at night on the back of our helmets, Dad. We need someone to get some pictures of us side by side one night.
Actually,
I was watching Mike's video earlier today when I was working on some homework, and seeing in his video at one point I'm in front of him at night there. It's like this beacon on like a snowplow in front of him with the yellow light, and it's like holy crap! It's like distractingly bright is how I describe it, because it's so bright that you can always see it, like in the snow dust, in bumps. It's like, but I love it. Sure. I love riding behind you with the bright green on, and it's like I always can see up at, like, it's the only thing I can see. Your tail light is not visible or anything, but it's like you can see that from a mile. Amazing. It's
pretty awesome. Yeah. And it was a moto ski trivia question that he got right, he says.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool. No, in Mike's channel, when we're at the gas station, he drives by me and my green helmet light's on, and it's like, good God, that's bright.
That's the same part of the video. Yeah. You go ahead, and then I'm behind him at the next part of the video with the yellow.
Yeah. So there's the mock. It's still in one piece, John Luke. Look at that. Don't look.
Happy to see that.
This was day 2. We rode. Your pictures must be out of order, but yeah. So after we got back with our broken truck on Saturday night, we were really bummed on Sunday morning. We were having breakfast, and after our late night, we like, you know what? Let's just try to get these things. We had to move the lawnmower and nearly knocked over the shed that's holding a prize right now, and all this stuff. We had to move the sleds out of the trailer. We got it working, and we rode right from our house to the trail. So couple kilometers down the road,
and to get the ATV out to winch the rider out of the way, and
it helped if the lawnmower ran. But that's one of my projects that I never finished. But
that was Mrs. Mudbrats pushing us. We got home at like 1 a.m. We didn't want anything.
I wanted to get in my car and just drive back to Windsor. I was so pissed from the night before.
And then Lisa was going, guys, can't you just ride from here? And then we looked out in the street and it was ice. It hadn't been plowed, and it was like, we can get to the trails. Like, just all we have to do is get up the street a little bit.
I had the roller skis. It was not hurting. It was not hurting, JL's mock that we were most concerned about.
No, it was awesome. So it was good.
There's something else in this photo that I want to talk about. You might be able to scroll through a few. But on the front of the 2018 XRS, we got a chance to try something, and probably now purchasing set of dual rate springs, which from our good friend Bam Customs had some from his sled that met a demise. But man, I didn't expect them to be much. I'm very much a guy that, like, when I got the sled set up the way I liked it, and then if anyone tells me it can be any better, I just tell them that they're selling snake oil, and I kind of felt that with dual rate springs for a little bit. But after this weekend, I'm a full believer. They made that sled insane, somehow even better than it already was. I don't get that ski lift when you're really leaning it out at high speed. It doesn't ever want to, tip over on me. It's plush on the landings of jumps now. It's just amazing. It's changed that sled for the better as well. So it's definitely going to be something I'm going to look for.
I got to step out. I got a dog to bring back home.
No problem.
I don't know if you see it. You don't see him. But I got to bring him back home. But I got a quick errand to run. But thank you so much for having
joining us. And we've held a week off for you after lodge sessions to get you on here to talk about the 2026 model year. And
you know what? That might we might have to do a mid. That'll be the Monday after, midweek or something, Dad.
Yeah, the Monday after I've got it slotted, and I'm going to see if I can talk Jinxie Boy into joining us that night too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good, guys. Well, thanks for having me. Brody, good to meet you. Good luck. Next year, I guess that's in a year from now, right? That you're going to do that race. So
yeah, that's right.
Good luck to it. And if I have an opportunity, I'll try to chat to some people at Lynx and see if they do any sort of sponsorship or support that way. So
yeah, reach out. Like I said, I can get your contact info through Gary or something like that, and we can all link up.
Yep. Sounds I'll introduce you to tomorrow. I'll send an email to both of you guys, and you can keep that conversation going. That's cool.
Have a great evening, gentlemen. Have a great evening, everyone. Talk soon.
Thank you again, John Luke.
Yeah.
See you.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. Lepoinski says good night, JL.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I put the LJE signal courtesy light on that's the green strip and the orange strip on this, and it plugs into the RCA plug. So really, all I had to do is put some of my Shield Saver high performance vinyl on underneath it, so it's removable, and stuck it on the windshield, tucked the wire up underneath there, and Bob's your uncle. Worked really well.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great. There we are filling up with gas yesterday, and there's a Fear Farm that's not too far from here that has a haunted area, and some of the riders are riding through it, but we just parked at the front gate and took pictures by the gargoyles. It's kind of a cool little
Patrick
little
and
spot.
Carrie Shell have to call tonight. Looking forward to meeting everyone at the Sportsman. The wife and I are heading to Ruin Amos Valdor Wednesday for 5 days. If anyone wants to join, wow, 2 big trips
that's
in a row.
sweet.
Sweet. Yeah, we love that area.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, my caps lock went on. Sorry about that, but thank you for joining us. That's great.
Yep, for sure.
More pictures here. We'll just burn through these.
Oh, did you not add anything from Saturday in, Dad?
What's that?
You didn't
Oh,
have
I thought I did. I must have put
Oh.
it. I must not. I had the pictures of the bridge and everything. We'll get through. We got a lot of pictures here to go through. Chris Watson, he says, "Hey, Gary and Drew, I normally send pictures of trails and sledding. This time, very little sledding was done, but a lot of embarrassing moments and laughs. Of course, wings, fries, and booze to laugh it all away. I think the Skidoo guys are going to be sending us all learner keys after these past few days on the trails. I did manage pictures of the trails, so." Yeah, it looks like they've had quite a few stocks. Look at that trail. That's
wow.
Sweet. Yeah.
Jeez.
In Lab City, Brady, there's not much in the line of groomed trails ever, is there?
We do have a groomed trail system here. The White Wolf Snowmobile Club has a trail system. I can't comment on how many kilometers of trails we have. I very rarely ever touch a groomed trail.
Yeah.
Maybe cross over one time or two, but very rarely do I ever hit a groomed trail. But when we have enough snow and ice, they do a phenomenal job, and it gets everyone out. And there's chalets, warm up shacks along the way, so they do a great job of that.
Yeah, right on. Well, I know that they you used to always see them leaving like the Walmart area, and then they just head up that big mountain, right? And you go like the one guy I was talking to said he just goes forever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's another shot of the trails, and there's a big stuck.
Yeah, oh man. See, if anybody wants to know why I'm saying I don't want a 4-stroke, it's pictures like these that my back is aching looking at this. I had a pretty good stuck on Saturday. Which I wish you had the picture because I want to talk about that, but it's fine. I had a pretty good stuck on Saturday, and relatively we got that 850 out pretty quick. But man, I even said to you, I'm like, man, if this was the Mach or a 4-stroke XRS, we would have been there for hours with no shovel and just 2 guys. Everyone else was gone and left us. It's like,
Master said that's when you just go get it in the spring.
when you're riding with people with I see a Chaos Slash here on the right, and I see a Summit up there. I think you're with the right people to help you get a sled out, though.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I don't think this is Chris Watson's first rodeo,
Yeah, I see some mountain sleds, so backcountry XRS, and you got the right guys that know how to get something out that's in a bad pickle.
Yeah.
Hopefully the sled's okay. Looks like it stoved it pretty good.
Yeah. It actually looked darker in the second photo, and this photo looks like maybe the earlier shots. Holy Chris, you guys are hard on
Chris. Holy buddy. Slow down. Actually, that doesn't look like his sled. That looks like a backcountry. Look at the ski stance on it.
Yeah. It looks they're probably just checking the track.
Yeah. Checking for ripped lugs. It looks, it's typical. Nice.
Iron Moose at this end, and he says, great past weekend. My wife was away, so me and my son went snowmobiling all weekend. Stayed close to home and explored. The first picture is us having Sunday lunch at a local spot. So that's that one. And then the second picture is Friday evening on the way home for a quick trailside break. Seems my son is getting quicker and quicker on his Neo. That's a problem that happens. Yeah. Love having the same passion with him. Really like the snow. Al Gallant.
So that's a 900 Ace Turbo X-Terrain. Nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
He must have to run the green key when he's riding with his son on the Neo.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who's picked. Yeah, there we go.
Jinxie Boy. He gets the sunrises all the time, right?
I recognize his buddy sled he's always with, right? That bronze and red 21.
Yeah,
these are just
nice.
I just got to step away from the camera for a second.
It's all good.
Go ahead. Yep. Yeah, more Jinxie Boy there.
Where was Jinxie? Where were you this weekend?
Oh, he's everywhere.
I think I remember. Was he in Cochrane this weekend?
Yes, he was. I think
that's
this isn't Cochrane here, but this is it. I don't think they have power lines like this, do they? Possibly.
I thought that's I don't know. Looks flat, so it might be.
Yeah. Never have to go too far. Enduro and a Lynx and Jinxie's comp. Pretty cool. And then this is Kelly Maloney. He missed last week's live because they were on a 4-day saddlebag trip starting at St. Michael de Saints, an area map shown on the cover of Track Maps, at Auberge le Cabanon. And then he went to Repos, Natawissi, Mikos, and back to Cabanon. 800 kilometers in 4 days, and he stopped for lunch at Rabasca on day 3.
Nice. That's a good 800 kilometers in 4 days. That's a nice leisurely ride.
That's great. Oh yeah, for sure. It's a great ride. And Rabasca is that we were talking about Rabasca on the Track Maps. That's where they shot a lot of the promo videos and footage. So our buddy Nasser.
I love this. Good photo.
Yeah, for sure. He just said weekend picks or something like that, I think was the title of the thing. So they got put a lot of miles on. It's a great shot.
Can't wait to see that sled in person with the wrap on it.
Yeah, it's gonna look sick, man.
Good group of sleds.
This is the Mackinac Bridge, I think.
No, that's not Mackinac. That's not Mackinac Bridge. I don't think so, at least.
Throwing Spark says he received a phone call that the Redfield area of western upstate New York, greater Tug Hill area, has received 200 inches of snow already this year. That's crazy. Yeah, Motorsport Channel said that looks like Cochrane for Jinxie's pictures, not these, of course. Yeah, I can't wait to ride with these guys. Those 3 sleds will be there, man. Yeah, Justin's Jacobs and Lynxie.
Yeah, Snowbridge in Houghton, Michigan. Yeah, Houghton Lake Lift Bridge. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right on.
I knew I knew that it wasn't Mackinac, but I've seen pictures of this bridge in Snowmobile magazines before.
Yeah, he's going to take us there next year. I want to ride underneath that.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. Is that the gay bar, Massart?
Oh boy,
that's what he said. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
There's not enough Polaris parked up front.
Yeah. Oh. There's Lynxie's lights lit up on the grill. I love that. Who's that, Drew?
Oh, we haven't seen this guy in a while. There we go. Odie's allowed to ride with him again now that he's got a new sled, eh? Is that what happened?
That's right.
Mike Kastlik all of a sudden found his phone number again, eh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man,
that's great. I love these guys. I can't wait to ride with both of them.
We got to get up there.
Yeah. It looks like the married life's treating Kastlik pretty good. He seems to have put on some poundage. Hey, Odie. All right, here we are, Brady. It's your show now.
There you go.
Yeah. So, do you have sponsors? Like, do you have people that support you through the race?
Yeah. So last year, the Cains Quest usually runs every 2 years, so usually gives people a good chance to get out and get after sponsors and local sponsors and stuff like that. In 2023, the race got canceled due to it rained and
Oh,
it rained
geez.
non-stop in the coastal communities, and the boys just got stuck in a community and they couldn't leave on the sea ice. It was no longer ice, it was ocean. So the organizers decided, well, we'll do it in 24 rather than take another 2 years off, get right back at it. So we didn't have too much time to get out after sponsors. The ones we did have were amazing. I won't rhyme them all off, but we did get some really good local sponsors, people who were passionate about it and really followed along with us. Friend of ours who owns a business, he put our posters up in his shop, and he was watching along and sending messages, and it was awesome. So that picture there, a little background. Last year I was Team 82 Snow Ghosts, which was my previous partner's team. He's since retired. He done the race 6 or 7 times, and he said that was the last one that he had in him. So this year it's going to be myself and my stepbrother are teamed up to do it, and that's our new team name and number for 26.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'll change the show title for that too, so it's current for you. But that's awesome. And tell us a bit about your partner this year.
So my partner he's my stepbrother, so I know him quite well.
Great.
We've we've known each other for the better part of 20 years almost now. So we ride a lot together, snowmobile, street bike, going sports cars together. We do a lot. He's actually out in my garage right now building his snow machine. So cool. And it's about time.
Yeah, right on.
But no, we work well together. We understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, and try to use them to our advantage.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's the thing. When you say it's about time to put the sled together, how much testing and tuning do you want to do before you actually race them? Like, is there a limit that you set for yourself, a bar that you set for yourself?
That was just kind of poking fun at him, but you don't want to put a whole lot of miles on a machine because parts just start getting worn.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll probably put 2,000-ish kilometers on the machines between this year and the beginning of next year. Really test them out, see what works, see what don't, and before the race, we'll start stripping some things down, changing bearings and bushings, and really inspecting stuff, seeing if there's any stress marks on any of the metal or stuff of that nature.
Now, do you do any performance bearings? Like Acceleration Racing has bearings that I guess you can blow on the sled and it'll roll on the floor once you put the bearings in. Like, do you anything like that, or you just use stock bearings?
In the past race, I never, but you obviously learn as you go, and through watching a few of your shows and that, I've learned about some the acceleration stuff. So I'd like to get in contact with him probably, and just see what he could offer us there.
Yeah, for sure. Remind me about that. Shoot me an email tomorrow and I'll get you the guy's contact for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
He's cool as hell. Yeah. Gord's Garage is another one that's not too far away from you, I don't think. And he'd probably help you with suspension and things like that. So
yeah,
he's a machinist as well. So yeah, this is typically how it looks when you're working on the sleds, is it?
Yeah, well, yeah. These were sleds that were my partner and his previous partner tried to race in 23. The year got canceled. So the sleds didn't have very many miles on them, but obviously we got to strip them down, do the fuel filters in them, do the bearings, do the bushings. The 2 skids are out of them there, getting looked over, the shocks revalved, and we were doing the 2 gas tanks are out. So the fuel filters, and we were putting the air radiator kits in the front of them while they were apart there.
Nice. What do you think of those shocks? Do you do anything with those Kashima coated Pro 46s?
Pro 46s are awesome. You know, some of the best shocks in the industry. We got a guy, a good friend, and he's pretty crafty when it comes to shocks. Todd Stokes is his name. TLD Suspension Works. He does all our valving for us. I think I drove a little nuts this year. I've brought him shocks so many times just for little tiny tweaks here and there, trying to perfect it and stuff like that. So we do very little, a little bit of internal valving work, but other than that, they're great right out of the box.
Yeah, you can't bottom them out. At least I couldn't, you know. So yeah.
You got a aftermarket front.
And here they are assembled finally.
Too, eh?
That freaking LED light on the front is hilarious. Like that.
Oh, but yeah,
that looks intense, man.
You need it though. I'm not exaggerating. I wish we could have 4 of them. But we run all Baja Designs lights. Those were last year's light setup. We're changed a little bit now. Still a Baja Designs light, but we're gone to more of a bar. Yeah, a 10-inch bar mounted. But yeah, that's when they were assembled. The way you see them there is pretty much how they were raced that year.
Oh, that's cool. And a couple of Rotopack gas stations in your bags in the back. That's cool. Very neat.
Yeah, so the Rotopacks on the side there, they're mounted onto a rack, which that link bag is mounted onto. We ran trail tanks, or tried to run trail tanks before they leaked.
Oh no.
So we not long before the race, a couple weeks before the race, we ended up swapping the stock tanks back on, and those Rotopacks are actually plumbed in. So as the sled is drawing fuel, you're drawing out those Rotopacks as well.
Oh, that's great. So you never have to worry about tipping them up and filling the sled. It's there. So
yeah, cool. It's always draining. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the fact you've got the XRS seat on there. That's something that I felt the mock seat was a little soft, but some people love that, right? Where, you know, like, do you find that that XRS seat makes you sit a little higher on the sled as well?
It doesn't make me sit higher than the link seat. The link seat is pretty high and stiff,
right?
But I could see it being a little higher than a mock seat for sure.
Mike said, is that a 2-stroke turbo he sees, or is that a 2-stroke with an intercooler?
So what you've seen, that was in the previous picture. It is a 850. It's not a turbo. We added rad and fan kit to the front of them. This year we ran in some very, very low snow conditions, no snow conditions. You'll see a few pictures coming up. So the extra cooling for the engine was needed because we just had no snow flicking up.
Yeah, right. So you need that extra cooling.
Yeah. So that's a rad.
Yeah. So what's like, this is a helmet. You've got the chin piece taken off of it. Tell me about what helmets you prefer there.
So I added that because all my buddies like to make fun of me for this helmet. This is a very cheap CKX Razor helmet. I would never race with this, but for scouting and places where, you know, you don't want anything really obstructive.
Yeah.
I run this helmet. I put heated goggles to run the CKX goggles on it, and it works awesome for scouting and in the woods. You know, it's almost like wearing a fur hat.
Yeah, nice.
So I would never race with that helmet, but it's all my buddies like to make fun of me, but I think it's great for scouting and stuff like that.
Yeah. What helmet do you wear to race?
I wear the Titan.
Oh, nice. Okay, perfect. With a heated goggle,
So
you're saying, right?
Titan
Yeah.
with the heated goggles with the cams in it. I don't like helmets with a visor personally, and the only reason is if something happens to the visor in a community or somewhere where you couldn't source one, I like being able to just strap an extra set of goggles on and still being able to retain that warmth. I've never been cold in a Titan either. I've been way too warm, but I've never been cold.
Yeah. That's awesome. What do you prefer for boots and gloves? This is going to come up, right? All your gear.
Yeah, I kind of figured that, so I brought some in with me just to show
Cool.
gloves. That's a climb glove. I run almost exclusively climb gear. This is called the inversion insulated glove, and it's almost like if you could imagine insulated dirt bike glove,
Yeah.
right? There's very little insulation in it, but it keeps your dexterity in your hands and your fingers. I don't like anything big and bulky. I like being able to feel the handlebars, and you can't have anything loose either because with the handlebar warmers and that loose, you'll end up chafing and really blistering your hands. I wish I would have sent some pictures in, but in the past, some guys have really done damage to the palms of their hands from chafing. So you're
Right.
trying to find a glove that fits snug enough that you don't have to worry about that. And I run just muffs, like the soft hand muff gauntlets with
Yeah, so
that.
you've got gauntlets over those. So would those gloves, like
Over.
Drew's looking for a pair of gloves right now, would those gloves be warm enough to run on heated bars, trail riding, or you would still want more insulation than that?
Depending on the temperature, they're the best glove I found for the riding that we do. Like I said, I wear muffs a lot, but if you're, between 0 degrees and -15, -20, those gloves on heated bars will be fine. The only issue is if you're stopping and stuff like that without the heated bars, you might start getting a little chilly.
Right.
So in one of our gear bags, we always carry like a big set of sealskin mitts or something, like just in case we ever got into a situation where it's cold and you don't have the heated bars.
Yeah, nice. And then boot wise, what do you wear on your feet?
Boot wise, Klein came out with a new boot. That's the GTX Adrenaline Pro S1K boots. They're great riding boots. If you're moving, they're awesome. And if you're in the warmer, like Ontario climates, I'm sure they're great. If you're stood around on a lake for hours on end, your toes might start getting a little cold if you're not wearing a thick sock. But
Right.
I like to wear, I've done a lot of dirt bike riding and stuff like that. So I like something with a bit of ankle support. I'm really scared I'm going to roll my ankle, maneuvering around. So we like to run these. This one's a little warmer than the previous one. I haven't had too much time with these yet, but they're awesome. Like I couldn't ask for much better than that. And they're not big and bulky, right?
No. What's the side boa for there, Brady?
Side boa. So before the older style one, this boa would tighten all of them. But what you'd realize is you're tightening the bottom too much to get the top snug as well.
Yeah.
So what Cain has done now, and I'm by no means an expert, so I'm sorry if I offend anyone at Cain from my demonstration. But what these will do, the side boa will actually tighten the bottom portion down here, and the top boa will tighten the top. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So I know some people like to have it tight up on their calf, we'll say, and a little looser on their foot. So that was pretty cool to see him come out with that.
Nice. Yeah, I wear boas as well, and I know exactly what you're talking about there. That's an issue.
Yeah, you're really trying to crank them, right? So
yeah. Yeah. What are we looking at here? You got maximum 180.
So that was during the race. That was the max speed recorded on my machine.
Right on. But like you said, you get into some of this stuff and you're just crawling through it, right?
Yeah, so that's not on the race. That's actually while we were scouting.
Yep.
And we're in a predicament there. We got one or two machines stuck and a sleigh at the bottom of the valley, and we were a couple hours in there trying to pick our way through. The snow conditions didn't allow us to use any of the brooks and rivers that we used to run. So it forced you into the valleys and the hills, and it made for a long day.
The scouting, is there rules like is there a limit to what you can scout? Like, do they say that they don't obviously release the map, right? It changes every race, but is it illegal to scout too much? Like, can you scout too much, or is it basically up to
anything before the flag drops? To my knowledge, is free game. If you wanted to spend your entire winter scouting the race route, you could. Obviously, the more familiar you are with the land you're about to race on, the better.
Yeah.
But no, as for that, to my knowledge, there's no rules as to scouting.
I can see it definitely being an advantage for local people that have the ability to go out whenever they want to try a different area, right? Where someone coming from afar, like someone coming from the US or across the continent, has to, they only got maybe a week before or 2 weeks before.
That's right.
How do they decide? Like, we are going to see a map coming up, but how do they decide the routes? Like, and how do they release that to you guys? Do they give you a GPS thing, or is it printed paper maps?
So when registration opens, or slightly before, they'll release the route, and it'll just be a similar to the map we'll see later. It'll show the route and the communities and the direction you're going through. But as for releasing the GPX files for it, it comes later on.
Right on. Here's a back view of your sled, which really shows you packed up. There's your gauntlets there. They're quite big.
Yeah, that's days before the race. Not very, couple days before the race, yeah.
Yeah, cool. You got an axe on the side, and like, do you carry one of those little folding saws as well, I assume?
Yeah, that's part of the mandatory gear, some basic survival gear, we'll say. There's a little folding saw and an axe and stuff of that nature. But the axe, other than being used for cutting down trees, is really good for straightening tie rods.
Yeah, yeah, right on. Yeah, it beats bashing it with a log, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Mike wants to know, is that a Yamaha in the background? It looks like a 125, he says.
Yeah, that's an old 125 we used to have.
Oh, sweet. You don't have it anymore, eh?
That's awesome. No, that one's not around anymore.
Sweet. I love this. You got the Ricky Bobby sticker on there.
Yeah, so we like to have fun and play around a little bit, and we like getting the fans involved. So that was pretty popular at the fan night. The "If You Ain't First, Your Last" sticker. So everyone got a good kick out of that one.
That's freaking cool. Your wrap, it's got the chrome effect to it. Is that a Deviant Ink, or who does your wraps?
Our wrap company last year was a company out of, I want to say BC, but it could be Alberta. Wide Open Throttle. graphics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris, he done those and done a good job of them.
Yeah, they look good.
So
How many times do you take your sled apart a year? Too many to count? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sometimes I
if you
feel that way.
if you want to know a funny story about that one, that's about 36 hours before the start of the race.
Oh man. What'd you have to do?
That's a lot missing.
Yeah, so I'll give a little backstory to it. We went to the fan night with two very well put together snow machines, but it was raining. And it was raining a lot all over Labrador, and we had 1.75 inch non-studded tracks on there.
Oh, you had hurricanes on them. Yeah.
So the hurricane was on it, and we had kind of spoke about maybe switching to a studded track earlier in the year, but that's about as far as it went. At the fan night, was confident. The sides were built well. Everything was Loctite and paint marked and checked off, and ready to go. We had one extra day in between to spend at home, getting gear ready, spend it with the family and stuff like that. We left the fan night, and my partner turned to me in the truck and said, "Wake up early. We're changing the tracks." So we didn't wake up early. We stayed up. We had a little bit of a discussion, but ultimately we decided the studded tracks were the good idea. So we stayed up all night long, us and a good portion of our support team, and scrapped two machines and fabricated tunnel protectors, and it was some very stressful times for me.
Oh yeah, because you would have had to on those sleds. You have to pull the tunnel protectors to put a hurricane on, right? So you already had the ones removed and probably in a bin somewhere.
Those were history. Where they were, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I've got the machine with the hurricane on it.
Oh,
and
no.
There was no tunnel protectors in town. The 22 Raves were known for having issues with the tunnel protectors actually breaking. So what we ended up doing was actually fabricating tunnel protectors out of Teflon and slides, high pack slides. That's what we came up with in our rush. It didn't really pan out for us, but we can get to that a little later on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love the step ladder track method here to get the tracks off.
We were in
next time, eh?
I'm telling you, man, we were in a scramble. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we had 10 guys there, and everyone was turning wrenches. We did have fun, but we were scrambling.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, man.
I hate swapping tracks when I'm not on a time schedule.
I know. And can you imagine, like, one thing goes wrong? I was going to say, though, Brady, I bought an old Polaris once. I didn't buy it. I traded it for a sled trailer. And the stud protectors were hockey sticks screwed up underneath the tunnel.
Yeah, whatever works, man. At the end of it, it's whatever gets on. So that picture there is just as we're drilling holes in the tunnel to put on our not tested tunnel protectors. So that's Kirk and Marcus, and might be Bobby sat underneath the machine, and the boys were awesome. I can't tell you enough how great our support team was for helping out during the race, before the race, after the race. They were unreal.
Very cool. That's an what is that? An iPad? No, that's a Garmin. What model
Garmin
is
units.
that?
Yeah.
That's a Garmin Tread.
Oh, that's the Tread.
Yeah. So I tried that out this year. It worked okay. I didn't I can't comment to how good it is for navigating because we run 2 GPSs on a Garmin 276CX up on the handlebars, zoomed in, and we run that one on the dash. I use that one basically for a screen, really just something big to look at, and that's at a mandatory waypoint in the middle of Lake Melville during the race. And when we stopped, I wanted to have photo evidence that we made it to the waypoint, just in case anyone ever questioned it.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Do you have to turn that information over or do they often ask for it, or how does that work?
Sorry, the first part of the question cut out there, okay?
Yeah, so do you always have to provide that information, or is it one of those things where they do random checks?
No, it's very seldomly ever asked. I just wanted, there was a change in the race route at the last minute, like literally 12 hours before the start of the race. Due to rain on the coast and stuff like that, they changed the race route. So there was some speculation about some stuff, and I just wanted to make sure that if there was ever any questions asked, that it was proved that we were there.
Yeah, cool. How many members are in your support crew?
I don't know a head count offhand. On the ground, there's probably close to 12 to 15 maybe, but I consider like the people at home who are helping out and our little dispatch area we set up here, the people who bring over boxes of coffee to the guys in town, stuff like that, like that's all our support. So on the ground actively probably 12 to 15, but we have a big pile of supporters.
Right on. I mean, you live and die by them, literally, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I was trying to figure out what this is.
That's a straight edge on my tunnel after the race. I took a little tumble and kinked the tunnel in a couple of different places. But I was just showing that it was kinked. It's just an interesting photo.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
they call that tweet.
I cartwheeled that sled 8 or 9 times, so it was okay to be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah. Did you get hurt at all?
I had a pretty good concussion and just some nerve damage in my neck, but other than that, we done. It was the best outcome I could ask for. I had no broken bones and no bleeding or anything like that. But I had
you wear a tech vest though, right? Or something?
Yeah,
like
I
that?
run. I got one here, Drew. It's not a tech vest. It's from 509 actually. But
yeah, I've seen those before.
Vest, yeah, a vest with padding in it. It's the thinnest vest that we could find to be comfortable, all bundled up. So we run those, and definitely helps. But when you hit the ice that's like concrete at 130 or 140 kilometers an hour, it all hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, we're big fans of Tech Vest, and hold on a second.
I've had my fair share of ejections with my Tech Vest on.
No yet. I can't tell you how hard I was ejected from that snowmobile.
Oh, geez.
I've had a lot of wipeouts, but I've never had one that's thrown me like that.
This is a beautiful shot. How often do you get Northern Lights?
We get them often in the spring and in the fall, like when the weather patterns are changing. That's not during the race. That's shortly after up at one of our camps. I just thought it was a cool picture that you guys might want to see.
I'm just posting something in the chat here. Everybody that's watching, we have Steve Brand from Tech Rider on next week. They're launching a new line of outdoor snowmobile clothing, and he wants us to fill out this form ahead of time. I'll post it on my website and on socials this week on Facebook, but go to techrider.com, TECRIDER.com/EN-CA/pages/PTG-power-touring-gear #form1, no spaces there, and fill that out. I put that up on the screen. I'll leave that for a bit. But if you guys can go on there and fill that out, we're going to have some new news for you guys next week, and who knows what else, you know. Steve is always a blast. So yeah, awesome shot here. That's an expedition. Is that one of the support crew sled? Is it?
No, that was my Expedition Extreme. Like I said, that was shortly after the race up at one of our camps. Just kind of wanted to show some of the scenery we get up here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful country.
For sure.
And like I said, you can't imagine the snow that you guys get. It's just incredible, right?
Yeah. Like usually we get a lot. This year we haven't had much. Last year wasn't much either, but hopefully our winters return to normal sometime soon.
Yeah. Is this a new style of fog light?
New fog light, yeah, man. John Luke will tell you they're coming out in 26 with those.
Is that right?
No, I'm only joking. That's a Baja Designs Annex 6 light bar, and that's just a photo of how we mount them up. That's our main source of lighting. Gotta run the yellow lens with snow dust, and it's a great improvement. I tell everyone it's one of the best investments you can make if you're riding a lot of doing a lot of nighttime riding.
Is that right, eh? The yellow for snow dust. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very neat. And with bouncing all over the place, those ram arms will hold up for you.
They hold up extremely well. I don't know how. Ram makes a great product. I run them on everything, and it's just the easiest mounting solution that we could come up with.
Yeah, no, and they look good too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a good shot of it at night. With the snow.
I should have added one without it on, because I always tell people, have a lot of people ask us about lights and the gear that we use during the race, and they always say, this light bar is a little pricey. Is it worth the money? And I'm like, and I tell them it's like turning the sun on.
Yeah,
I trust Baja Designs. There's a reason they're called Baja Designs. They run these lights in the Baja 1000 and the King of the Hammers. These aren't just some LED. This isn't your Amazon, Princess Auto, Harbor Freight, TSC light. These are some serious engineered lights for stuff like this. I would trust them with my life too.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of technology in lighting, way more than I'll ever be able to tell anyone. On Baja Design's website, if you go on, they can show you all the different lighting zones and stuff like that. And Bill at Baja is really good at letting us know what lenses we might like or what light pattern we might need for what we're doing. So they're top notch.
Yeah, right on. It looks like you can see every little shadow in the snow there too, like every little texture on the snow.
In the nighttime riding, like on the ice, where you get bumps and ice ridges and stuff of that nature, you really want to see that shadow on the other side to know what you're about to hit or what you're about to go over. So that's the reason we run there.
Yeah, that's neat. That's something I'd love to try, because I'm always the last guy, right? I always follow up the crew, so I'm in the snow dust.
Yeah, for sure.
All the time,
definitely help
right?
you. Yep.
Yeah. Those are gorgeous sleds. Like, what a design.
So the one on the far left, that's the rave or the rave, however people like to pronounce it. The one in the middle, that's my X-Train, and the one on the far right there, that's my brother's, my race partner's. His should look like mine with all the parts installed after tonight if he's still hard at work out there.
Awesome.
What skis do you run? Do you just run the stock blade DSs, or do you run?
No, we run it's called a Simmons ski. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. Simmons Flexi ski. We run the Gen 2s. Gen 2s are 10-inch wide. There he is there. I'm still hard at work, so keep at it. We got riding to do.
I love that.
No more typing, more wrenching.
Yeah, that's right. More wrenching, less typing.
But Drew, you've seen a few pictures coming up. We run the Simmons Gen 2. They're a 10-inch wide ski. We don't really need the width for the flotation, but we definitely need the stability. I've never found a ski that is so stable and turns so much on a dime as them.
Yeah. He's wiring the GPS right now, so he's getting there. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Dennis says that's an intense ski.
Yeah, 10-inch wide. That's no joke. That's a big ski.
Yeah. Once we get to the pictures where you can see it better, we'll be able to talk about it a bit more.
Yeah.
Those look like
the custom bent A-arms for you?
Yeah.
Or
that's
high rods?
Yeah, that's just a little modification we made.
Yeah.
When the ski meets a tree, that's one of the outcomes. So I include that picture because during the race last year, I got going to Postville and tapped a tree and done it a lot worse than that. It was more like a horseshoe. And we, my partner, I haven't mentioned name yet, Brad was his name. He was really fast at fixing stuff on the fly, like coming up with these like MacGyver ways to fix stuff. So we flipped the machine over. We didn't have a spare tie rod, so we managed to beat it back into acceptable shape with an axe. And then he said, well, we can't ride like this because it's weakened. It's just going to bend back again, that aluminum. So what we done, we had a spare rear axle, like for the wheels. We had one of those, and we had a few hose clamps and hose clamped that to give it some rigidity to the tie rod. And I continued on probably another 1,800 kilometers like that.
Wow.
And it did not bend anymore. So he was
nice.
he was good at that. I gotta give him that. He was pretty quick at coming up with stuff like that.
Was he good at teaching you though too, so that you're taking on those to the next?
Yeah, I gotta say, when I set out to do the race, I asked a few buddies of mine who weren't available for 2024. So I got to thinking, maybe I'll chalk this up to a learning year, right? Try to find someone who's knowledgeable in it and learn more about the race than actually anything else. So I got to thinking and put out a few feelers and got to talking to him, and we exchanged messages for a long time, and he gave me an ultimatum. He said, if you can keep up with me in the woods, I'll race with you. So I went out on a whim and bought the links, and we went for a ride, and I managed to keep up with him, I guess. So
that's awesome.
But he's very knowledgeable. The mapping and the navigational side of things, and just some stuff that I would never think about. I did learn a lot, so I'm very appreciative to learn that.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I love shots like this. You can tell how cold it is just from the heat coming off the rear exchanger there.
Yeah, so that's a ride we had this year, actually. It was a chilly day coming on evening time, and you can see like the ice in the trees and the heat off the exchanger. So I thought that would be a cool picture. also took it to show off the Link saddlebags. They're new this year.
That's neat.
And man, they're awesome. I cannot break them. And I've been trying very, very hard to see if I can break those mounts, and they will not break.
That's very well designed then, right? They look like they're hard-sided, like a motorcycle bag, right?
Yeah, they're semi-hard, I'll say. Like they're great. You can put your gear in them. They're not huge, but they mount forward on the tunnel, and it's a Link accessory. So one flick of the lever and it comes right off, right, for going into the hotel or wherever you're headed.
Yeah. Kelly Maloney says, are they waterproof?
I can't attest to that, but I have one here. It doesn't say waterproof on it, but so like that's the Link bag.
Yeah,
you can
I love that. Yep.
Right, and it just slides in and locks. Right.
Yeah.
Like that.
Sweet.
And yes, it has to be waterproof. I can test it, not tonight, but I will test it if it's waterproof. And you just
find a
open it up,
pond or lake, and throw it in.
Yeah. So take a bath with it.
Yeah.
Right, and you open it up, and
I don't think you're ever gonna. Right? I've never, until this past weekend, I'd never seen a Link bracket break. So, or not bracket, but a Link product break.
Yeah.
So you'll be fine with those.
Man, we seen they came out. We were like, they're gonna be cool if they can hold up. And I've got probably 1,000 kilometers of literally the really banged up rough trails, traveling at a high rate of speed, and I cannot get them to break. And they're rated for only 5 pounds each. Like, they're not huge bags.
So that means 30. That means 30 pounds.
I probably
there's a factor of safety of probably like 2.5 on those or something. You're probably good.
Man, I got like 10 pounds in each one,
and you can't break it
yet. I'm not saying I'll never have an issue, but
yeah, if you were going to put those on a trail sled, would you think you could run a gas caddy with those?
Yeah, you can. I do it often.
Oh, cool, perfect. Yeah,
they mount forward enough that you could still run your gas caddy and another bag behind if you want it.
I like how they hang lower. It puts the center of gravity down too, right?
Yeah, it's almost like having them on your running boards.
Yeah. That looks great. Look at the lights and the LEDs and everything. That's cool. Anything you got to do suspension-wise? Oh, I don't put it on the screen. Sorry. Anything you got to... I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah, there you go.
Anything you got to do suspension-wise to make this sled better for your conditions? Like sag-wise, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we set the sag, the rear sag, as to Link specifications. There is another set of specs floating around on Facebook and a few forums. Not saying it's wrong. It's just the Link's recommended setting works better for me as for sag with all my gear. Suspension-wise, I hate to say it, but Lynx has made the machine softer. I think there's a few people who are buying Lynxes that would benefit more from a Renegade. You know, they just the Lynx is designed to hit bumps. That's what it does best. So I think there's a few consumers telling Lynx, you know, they're too stiff out of the box, they're too jittery. We found them a little soft just for the kind of riding we do and a little bit extra weight. So we revalve all the shocks and change the oil in them. But other than that, we do very little.
Yeah, right on.
That's interesting because I had that same theory about Lynx a few weeks ago, Dad. That from 22 to 23, they made changes from factory on them, even though they were both still the same platform sled, basically with a decal package or something that they did that they didn't tell anybody about.
No, 22 each year, and I've got the specifications. There has been internal valving changes to the shocks.
Yeah, yeah. I think the 22 wheelied way more. Like I think
it was stiff as a board.
Yeah, I think it actually was more playful in the front end to its fault, right? Like I think it was actually too light for cornering and things like that. The one I had out a few weeks ago, the 23, was amazing. Like it cornered well. I wouldn't really have any complaints on it. Where the 22 didn't seem, but I say in my video, we didn't really spend any time setting it up. John Luke had them build it out of the crate and bring it right to us to drive, right? So it's cool.
The 22 also had a 1.5 pre-started
from
track, whereas the 23 was a 1.25. So a lot of people say the 22 wheelied more could be because of that, right? Log.
That's my personal feeling.
But every year they've been softening them up, and I really hope we don't get to kind of what an XRS turned into a couple years ago, which was fancy stickers.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping they don't water down the links, and I think the guys at Links know not to. They're really good, but I hope it doesn't get too watered down to a point where you're just getting a fancy looking trail sled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In 25, they made the spring rate softer again, and stuff like that. So hopefully this is as soft as they make it.
Yeah, good.
Who does your do you revalve the shocks yourself, or do you have somebody do that for you?
No, the sticker there, I know it's upside down, but Todd Stokes here in Lab City, TLD Suspension Works, he does all the valving, and like I said, I think I haven't drove nuts this year from bringing the shocks to him so many times, just making little tiny adjustments, very tiny adjustments, but we got them to a point now, and I'm testing out those fancy triple adjusters you see there.
Yeah.
We got them to a point now where I can dial it in.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I got Pro Action Stage 3 valving on my XRS, and it handles amazing compared to probably what that was before, right? So
yeah,
definitely. Curious who did yours.
Definitely,
it makes a difference. Yeah, here's the map here. So
that's just so crazy.
So if you look down at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, those were all taken out this year. Simply due to the fact that it rained days before the race, and I mean like sheets of rain, and we just couldn't get to the southern portion of Labrador. It was unsafe to do so. So 12 hours before the race start, they added that loop you see going north from Labrador City. They're on the left-hand side.
Yeah,
we drew that in, but that's what they done to make up the kilometers. So on the first day, instead of going to 1, which is Churchill Falls there, we went and done that northern loop back to Lab City and stayed the night in Lab City.
Oh, cool.
So that's how they made up the mileage from having to cancel the South Coast. It's too bad, because I would have liked to get down on the South Coast. I hear the people down there during the race are just absolutely phenomenal, and the fans, and they're out all hours of the night to greet everyone coming in. So I really hope we can get down and see that, but the snow conditions would have to improve drastically next year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. So you went to number 5, or was 5 gone as well?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 were all gone.
Oh wow.
So we went. The way it worked was Lab City, that northern loop. That was our first day. Came back to Labrador City, got to sleep in my own bed, which was awesome. If anyone from Cain's Quest sees us, please do a loop back to Labrador City again. It was great to come home, but it was also great to see the commotion in town. Yeah. Obviously, there's commotion for the race start, and everyone sees it, but then the race goes and happens in all the other communities, and on average, only 8 or 9 teams ever finish every year.
Yeah.
So the community lab city never gets to see everyone come back. So other than a few that scratched on the first day, the town lab city got to see everyone return that night.
And that would be kind of cool because you get to see the order they're coming back in too, right? It would be kind of neat. You'd be waiting for your team to come in.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So got to stay in my own bed. If you want me to give you a little background story, of our first day, remember how I said we changed the tracks 36 hours before, 24 hours before?
Yeah.
So we put our tunnel protectors on that we fabricated, and they were not tested. They were taken like 2 minutes down the street, and I was like, yeah, good enough. Going to the race start. So we were over, lined up, getting ready for the race start to go down in, our race order on the start line. And a fellow racer came up to me. I'm not sure if he would want his name mentioned, so I'm not going to do that. But if he's watching, he knows exactly who he is. Came up to me, said, I know you put your stud track on. I said, yes, I did. And he said, I want to see your tunnel protectors. And he looked up underneath my machine, and he just kind of looked me in the eye and said, I would make some modifications if I were you. And he left it at that. So we walked away, and I looked under my machine, and at the back of the cooler, you could see where the studs were touching.
Oh,
in contact.
Not good.
So that took my confidence level from what I thought was 100% and brought it down to about -10.
Oh, Jesus.
So, mind you, we're like 45 minutes from starting the race. So I'm panicking. I'm going up to the race official. I'm like, I need to make changes to my sled. Can I go do it? And he's like, no, you can't leave. Like, you have to be here for the start of the race. And if I had my time back, I probably would have left and took my chances.
Yeah.
But anyway, we lined up on the starting line, and with two sleds that need to go right back to the garage.
Oh no.
And I gotta hand it to my partner. He was like way better mentally than I was at that point. I was in a state of utter panic. It's my first race. I've never dealt with this before. I'm sat on a starting line with a broken machine, and he's kind of laughing and carrying on, and everyone's coming up and wishing good luck, and he's giving high fives, and I'm like, man, oh man, like, how are you so calm? But he's done this a lot, right? This was my first time. He's done this a lot, so he kind of kept me in check from panicking too much. So we're rolling up to the start line. I think we were like 26 or something off the line. Everyone leaves in 1 minute intervals. I want to say we were 26, maybe we were a little behind. And we leave the start line and go right back to the garage and start modifying snowmobiles. And I had all of our support team that was left in town, because a lot of people were already out in the country. So we went and we had 2 pieces of Teflon and drilled holes down through the center and bolted them up and said, that's what's going to be now. And bolted them up, and we started our race about an hour and a half behind everyone else.
Oh man. Did you find that you were able to catch up at all, or were you always behind the 8 ball?
We left an hour and a half early, or an hour and a half late. Sorry, not early.
Yeah.
I wish we left an hour and a half early. And for the first hour, we never seen anyone. Not a soul. So we're, like I said, what that does to you mentally is not good. Got to our first fuel stop, still never seen another team. Our support teams, like, where were you guys too? And we kind of had to explain to them, well, little alteration before the race start. And by the time we got 2 hours in, we were starting to catch a few teams. So we you're starting to get a little boost of confidence. Snow teams are really new, but then you started to see people you knew, and people that you knew were a little quicker and stuff like that. So we left in 33rd place an hour and a half behind, and checked back into Labrador City in 11th.
Oh, nice job.
So I think Kirk had the times written down for the entire race. I'm pretty sure we were the fastest moving team on that day.
Right
At all
on.
times. We went and passed 20 teams that day. Like I said, it's a lot. My partner kind of kept me in check, and once we started passing teams, you were just like Rick and Bobby, shake and bake, right?
Yeah, I love it.
So you were seeing taillights, and it was just however fast you could push that throttle in to get past them.
Very cool.
So that was the start of my Cains quest.
Yeah. Oh, that's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the layovers, you get 12 hours of rest and wrenching, I guess it is, in each of these places.
Yeah, so 12 hours is off the clock. Once you check into the checkpoint, you walk in, the official sees you. Once you sign your name on that book, you cannot touch your machine for 12 hours.
Oh, so you can't wrench it or anything?
No. When you're off the clock, nothing is to be touched.
Oh, wow.
So
that's crazy.
You make sure you take your toothbrush and your GPS and whatever else might be on the sled, because you're not allowed to touch them, and they're pretty strict about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got 12 hours to go and try to calm down. I found that was the hardest part for me once I actually got into a layover, was after riding machine for so long, and your ears are ringing and this and that. You just got so much adrenaline because, like I said, we started from last place.
Yeah.
So you got so much adrenaline trying to catch teams that you're in a hotel room in bed and you're still moving. Like I'm still hitting bumps for the first 3 hours that I'm lit in bed.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, that's how that all worked out.
Yeah. What do you find as far as the fatigue and the like the what do they call it? Like seeing mirages and stuff like that. Like, did you have any real bad fatigue spells?
I had a moment. The fatigue on the body and the mind is like nothing I've ever experienced before. Like, I would like to say I'm a pretty tough person, but there's, like I said earlier in the show, there's nothing that can prepare you for just about what you're about to endure. Mm-hmm. I had a moment going into Nain. I think we spent 20 hours on a machine that day, from Goose Bay to Nain, and this was after bending the tie rod. So the steering wasn't the greatest, and when we did change our tracks, something happened, and in order for me to get any brake, I had to pump those brakes like 3 or 4 times.
Oh crap! So, got air in the brake or behind the piston when you probably hit the pads out.
I don't know if it was air. I'm actually kind of think because we did try to bleed the brakes at one point. I actually think we bent the rotor. So what was happening is, as the rotor was going and it was warped, it was pushing the pads out. So I had to squeeze that brake lever 3 or 4 times. So you can imagine, try to go fast in the woods or on a river where you only have a couple inches on either side of your skis with no brakes.
I had a similar experience in the motocross race this past summer. Right. I had a front brake that wasn't from the bike that I was on, and and when you first push it would just hit like the cylinder to push the brake fluid, and it would just stop, and then you could get your brake. And fatigue, like you say, fatigue sets in. You're riding along, ripping. Very last lap of the race, I went in one of the last corners. I went to grab the brake, and it didn't go, and I just went into a tree.
So going back to Gary's question on fatigue, once we got about 18 hours in, like I was tired. I'm gonna admit I was pretty checked out. I was falling asleep. No word of lie, I was falling asleep riding the machine, and you kind of, nod and look back up. So I was fading pretty good there. And I can remember getting into Nain and telling one of the ladies at the checkpoint, I said, I'm really excited to go through that valley. And mind you, I've been to Nain before. Like, I
Yeah.
know the way up there. But I told one of the girls, just kind of, overtired, that I'm really excited to see that valley and the cliffs in the daytime. And she kind of looked at me weird. And she said, what valley? I said, about 45 minutes outside of Nain, before Matt was just there, that big valley we came through. And she said, I think her exact words were, my honey, you've been on the ice for hours. You have not gone through any valleys.
You've just been riding basically across the lake, basically for the past
Yeah, so
hour.
we're out on the ocean. Now we're going
ocean,
we're going between big islands and stuff like that. So maybe that's where I got it from. But
That's wild.
the fatigue that I got there and my legs, I've never had so much pain in my legs. I got to the hotel in Nain, and you check in to the checkpoint, which is, I want to say the community center. And I apologize if I got that wrong. And then you have to taxi down to the hotel. There's no plowed roads in Maine in the winter. Your taxi is another snowmobile. So I'm getting on the back of this expedition, getting taxied down. I get my room key and this and that. And I'm like 20 minutes. There's no elevator. It's like the stairs in their house. It's not very tall. But I was like 20 minutes trying to get up the stairs. My legs just did not work. Like trying to get up the stairs and take your gear off and stuff like that, once you're exhausted your body that much, it was crazy.
That's insane. Denon says, hey, this is a wicked episode, by the way. Incredible stories. And Keith 6306, he says, yes, it is. Wicked story. And Lepoinski 800R says he's just sitting back and listening. Really good stuff.
I'm glad my misery can give some people some entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How often are you standing versus sitting, or is it just the fact of just being on a sled, the whole time?
It's just being on a sled, man.
Yeah.
You try to sit down when you can, because you obviously can't stand up for 20 hours. So sit down as much as possible that you can still ride aggressively. And we did ride extremely aggressively. Like I said, we passed 20 teams on that first day. I think we were in 11th, but we had some pretty big issues on the second day going into Goose Bay. I think we got in there. Yeah, for sure. We had some pretty big issues on the second day that costed us some time. I think we ended up passing 8, maybe 6 teams, but we lost the positions back. We got into Goose Bay in 9th, I think.
Yeah. What's your goal, Brady? Is it just to finish, or are you trying for a top place, or like what is your goal going into something like this?
I'd like to say my goal is just to finish it, but I'd be lying. If my goal was just to go around Labrador, and I think it's great, everyone who comes and does the race, to just say, they experienced it, they conquered it, this and that. If I just wanted to go around Labrador, I could save a bundle of money, and me and my brother and a half dozen buddies of mine could hop on a sled and go around Labrador in a week and do it. So I'll admit, for 2026, it's going to be we're fully focused. We don't plan on being behind for very long.
You're not first, you're last. In it to win it,
Right.
Throwing Sparks says.
There you go. I'll
read that comment from your partner there, Ethan. He said, let's hope for a smoother run in 2026 for my sake.
He's a rookie. He was on our support last year and done a great job. We went through some pretty rough stuff at the end of our journey, and he was there through it all. And I'm excited to do the race with him. And as long as he's prepared, I think we're going to do great.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
this is a shot of you riding trails in Ontario last season, I see.
Yeah. No, this was
So-
seriously, this is what Quebec
Yeah.
Mont Laurier looked like.
Just with a lot more snow.
So that's not my photo. I stole that from another team, so I'm sorry, but it wasn't copyrighted.
Nope.
So this was a trail going into Rigolette, and this is a mandatory trail. That's usually their groom trail, believe it or not. Mandatory trail you have to take for 35 kilometers, maybe 40. You have to take this trail, and it was like that for most of it. The speed limit was 50 kilometers an hour going into that community, and that was interesting, going across the caribou moss and the rocks and the dirt, and a lot of people who never had the radiators that you seen the pictures of earlier had issues coming in and out of there because they were just overheating like crazy.
And you're running ice scratchers on those machines, I assume, as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. We went through multiple sets of ice scratchers. The rail like double coil ones.
Yeah.
We broke off so many of those. Like every checkpoint we were putting those on. I do have to give a shout out. I'm not sponsored by them. I've never talked to them, but I will give them a shout out because they're awesome. The quality pieces
Trailblazer.
that go on the shock bolts on the A-arm.
Yeah, the Trailblazer.
They got the bolts. Man, I ran the full race with one set of those, and then I took that set off my race sled and put them on my expedition, and then I took them off my expedition and put them on my new links. And they're in rough shape, but they went through a lot, and they work phenomenally well.
Dad,
anyone who's looking for,
you should send this guy's contact to Koala Pieces.
I will. I'll let Phil.
Get him some for next year.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm telling you, man,
for sure.
If anyone from Koala Pieces is watching this, or if anyone is looking for a good ice scratcher, you can't get any better. You can back up with it. You don't have to worry about it, and it does an awesome job. I think so, anyway.
Yeah, no, that's what we run too. They're really good for sure. And you can replace the tips like easy. They just unscrew and away you go.
That's right.
Yeah. Elder Santos, he says, how do you physically prepare for a race like this? Exercise, diet. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you want to be physically fit. I'm not a gym guy or this and that. I'm physically fit from just what I do in my everyday life kind of deal. Try to eat healthy and this and that. I honestly don't believe there's anything you can do to be prepared. Like you can't put your body through synthetically what you're about to go through kind of deal, right? You can do lots of leg workouts and pull-ups and whatever else you might want. Having strong legs is extremely important. I didn't realize how important that was. Like strong legs is big, but just trying to be physically fit. And I know a lot of guys who could go to the gym and bench press 400 pounds, but you put them on a stuck snow machine and they're down and out for the count. Like you got to be physically fit in the environment you're about to go through. So for preparing yourself, other than diet, I just think seat time. Above anything else, seat time on the machine. And I don't mean seat time riding the groom trail to the chalet, to a camp, stuff like that. I mean seat time beating through the backcountry, the roughest conditions, and we've done it. Get up at 3 a.m. when it's minus 50 out and the snow is blowing and you don't want to leave your warm bed. Go put your gear on and go for a 200-kilometer ride.
Yeah.
Like just start weathering your body like that and training yourself to be able to overcome the rough conditions is what I would say is the best way to prepare.
That's probably the best tip, right? Chris Watson says, sorry for coming in late. Was this the year the race was canceled due to rain?
If he's referring to the picture, no. That was the 2024 race year. That was last year. 23 would have been the year canceled due to rain.
Oh, I got you. And then LaPointe Ski Under says, Brady, what do you do for work to support your passion?
I work for the railway, for the local iron ore mine here. I'm a engineman on the railway.
Right on.
And I could use 4 or 5 other jobs to support.
That's snowmobiling for you, though, right?
I'm telling you, man, it's the amount of money that gets spent on this race. People wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
The dollars on average that people spend are just crazy on the low end side, and then sky's the limit.
Yeah, there must be some people that are just obnoxious with the stuff they have and bring, right?
If we've seen it, we've seen some pretty, and hats off to them. If you've got the resources and the money and the time to invest, it's good to see. We've seen the transport trucks show up and this and that, and I'm not jealous, but like they got the gear.
Yeah, that's wicked. There's another good shot of you. Is that you in action?
That's me. That was just as we left the start line, headed to fix our snow machines.
Yeah. Is there ever a point during the race or multiple times during the race possibly where you wonder what you're doing and you wish you could just quit or what?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a few. You got to think 20 hours on a machine. You got a lot to think about. You got a lot of time in your helmet to run through your thoughts. I think before the race, I had more moments where I'm like, is this really worth it?
Yeah.
When you're out scouting and it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's scouting is probably just as much, if not more, fun as the race. But when you're spending time away from your family and you're spending, money out in the middle of nowhere and you're stuck and you're in a river and you're beating up equipment and trucks are breaking down and trailers are blowing axles, and I think that's when most of the thoughts is like, is all this really going to be worth it?
Yeah.
During the race, and Chris Holmes touched on it in his episode with you guys, you go through massive highs and deeper lows. Like when I was on the start line, it's just a massive low, and then when you start passing teams or you get into a community and it's dark and the wind is blowing and this and that, and you got the locals or some kids coming up with a piece of paper with your team name on it, go team, whatever, and they're asking you to sign it, and good luck, and we've been following you, like that makes it all right. And getting into the checkpoints and checking Facebook and seeing the hundreds of people following you, like that's what really pushes you to carry on.
Very cool. Mike Vetfan 1967, he has a good philosophy for you. He says racing is a good way to make a large fortune into a small fortune.
You got that right.
Yeah.
You got that right.
Throwing Sparks says the easiest way to make $1 million racing is you start with $2 million.
I'd take either or of those right now.
Yeah. That's the one I heard a twist on that. I heard about a guy that became a millionaire by snowmobiling, and how's that? Well, he started with $2 billion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So in that picture, you can see those Simmons skis on the front. There will be a picture show up later that you get a bit better view, but that's those. I've seen a couple people chime in about them earlier. They're 10-inch skis. They're wide. They got the dual keels on them. And the issue with a lot of skis, the blades or some of the other stock skis, is I find they really vary in the conditions. If you get some choppy ice on the lakes, they can get a little sketchy, or if you get some loose powdery snow, they'll push a little bit, even if you got good carbides. those Simmons skis will turn anytime, but you better be ready because you are about to turn. It is going to hook and it's going to turn. It'll probably lift the inside ski, but you can turn at any time, and they are absolutely predictable on the lake. I can be doing 120 down the lake with one hand on the handlebars in choppy lake conditions.
Nice.
They track straight. They don't throw you anywhere. They never dart. Like they are great skis.
Are they a single carbide on them?
Dual keel, single carbide. So
Right
you got
on.
2 carbides, right, one on each keel per ski. And they, some people complain they're stiff to turn with. Obviously, the dual keels add to that, but that's also what makes them so predictable and makes them turn so well.
Mason says, what's on the spindle connecting the A-arms? I think it's the scratchers, but
No, I would say what he's referring to is there's a piece of stainless steel between the 2 ball joints.
oh yeah, okay, I see that. Yep.
Okay. Guy, he's from Ontario. You might know, have heard his name, Jeff Cran. Makes those. I don't know Jeff personally, but he makes some really cool reinforcement stuff. What people have, I don't have experience with it, but what people were finding with Gen 4 and Gen 5 snowmobiles, when you are really, really rough on them, those ears where the ball joint goes onto would actually start to open and separate and do some really weird things to the spindle. So what Jeff does is offers that brace. He offers them in raw like that, or powder coat, and it's just a brace that he offers for the spindle.
Yeah. Very cool. That's a great shot with the blurry people.
Yeah, so Scott Grant is the photographer for Cain's Quest, and he's become a friend from talking to him. And he took some awesome shots of the wraps. The wraps really stood out at the fan night.
It does. There's a ski there. You can really see how wide they are.
Yeah, so there you can see it. They're, like I said, I didn't like them at first because they were a little hard on the arms or the shoulders, trying to get them to turn when you're going like really slow. They're a bit of a bear to turn, but
Yeah.
I've tried. I'm not knocking other skis, but I've tried near about everything else, and I haven't found anything as good as those for being predictable.
Yeah. And you can really see that little bracket you were talking about bolted in between those 2 knuckles.
Yeah, so that's a brace that Jeff offers. I'm not sure his information to look him up, but you can get those through a local store here in Wabash too. Herb's Industrial, it's called.
Yeah.
They're kind of our local go-to for snowmobile parts and apparel and stuff like that. And they can carry all that stuff, and they offer braces for expeditions for the tunnels. We've seen the tunnels start cracking in expeditions, and the overstructures and stuff like that. So there's a host of parts that Jeff sells, and you can find them on the Herb's website if anyone is interested.
Cool.
Yeah.
Lachlan Sutherland says these are the skis that look like you're dragging bricks around the.
Yeah, look at
the
you can see it in this
LOL.
picture, Dad. Like, look at how wide of a mark it's leaving. That's crazy.
Especially on the groom trail. It like, I wish I had a picture of it on a groom trail. It's like a perfect. It's little. I don't know. It's almost like how a cross country ski would go.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah.
And Dennis says again, super cool episode. Brady's probably forgotten more about sledding than I'll ever learn. And you're 27. I love it.
I can't say that. There's people with way more experience between sledding and Cain's Quest and stuff than me. I'm passionate about and I like to talk about it.
Yeah, that's cool. Look at these yellow lights at night, Drew. Pretty amazing, eh?
It's crazy bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's on a scouting trip. What's actually happening there is behind this. I'm on my snow machine taking the picture. My snow machine is on a sleigh being towed because I ended up putting it bottom up in a river. And
There's a photo of that coming
the
up,
guy,
I think.
yeah, the guy in front of me is towing me on the sleigh. I have a sleigh hooked to the back of mine that's on a sleigh. And the guy in the middle here with the light shining, he's got a snow bungee on him so that every time the guy towing me gets stuck, he can pull him out. And the two guys ahead, because we cut this trail earlier in the day, and it wasn't very nice. It was just enough to get through. Their job was to go ahead with chainsaws and make it wider so that our literal train of sleds could make it out.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
a
long night.
Yeah, if you're watching full screen or on a TV, you can probably see the dual keel marks of that sled in front of you with the bungee on it, right? In the snow.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
big,
right.
wide, flat, like you said, like a groom cross-country ski thing. He says, yeah, what a mess. I think that's the same picture as earlier.
The same one.
Yeah. There's a start. I believe I showed, did I show this picture on Chris's episode, I think, because he said that wasn't my team, but I'm pretty sure I recognize this photo.
Okay. Yeah.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're bouncing around a bit. That's just at the start line. You know, we had to fix our machine, so I got to do the race again because I didn't get to enjoy the moment of all the fans cheering and getting to leave and this and that. But that was pretty cool. That's down on the lake, and you know, there's hundreds of people on the sidelines that you can't see in that picture.
Where do people stay in Lab City, or do they follow the race as it goes from place to place? Like how is it for spectators? Is it more local people, or do people fly in for it?
If you're not involved with a team or a media team or something like that, it's mostly locals. And if you're flying in with a team, chances are you're chasing them around.
Right.
So spectator-wise, you know, it's a shame that this can be broadcasted on a network to kind of feature parts of the race, because I think there's a real demand. But the logistics of it will be a nightmare to try to get to these remote communities and remote locations.
Right.
But, you know, most of our spectators are online through Facebook and through the Yellow Brick tracking. That's who puts off the live tracking for us. So that's kind of how they will watch it.
Sure. Yeah, I just love those yellow spotlights.
So that's leaving Rigolette. That's on day 3. We got into Rigolette. That's after going over that trail of caribou moss and rocks and dirt, and so that was in there. And one of the ladies at the checkpoint took that picture and sent it to me after.
Yeah. Now I notice you've got some companies on your wraps like JC's Carpentry, and I don't know what that other one says, something. You know, like are you do you have local guys that help try and help you out?
Yeah. So we reach out to local companies. Didn't reach out to enough last year, but the few that we did reach out to were great. JC's are a big supporter of us. They helped us out a lot last year, sponsor-wise. The one with the wrench there, I wish the words were a little bigger. We'll have to fix that on our 2026 wraps. But that's Impact Mobile Repair.
Cool.
That's a company in Labrador and on the island. Our buddy Evan Collins, he's a big supporter of us racing, and he gets fired up about the race. And we have lots of sponsors, some smaller sponsors, Century 21 Realty, and a lot of local sponsors, we'll say.
Yeah, right on. Good work.
Now also, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that a B power front bumper on those units too?
That one was a B power, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I love their bumpers. I got the extreme duty on my XRS.
Yeah, industry sponsors we didn't have very many of last year. Wide Open Throttle Graphics helped us out with the racks and some decals to hand out and stuff like that. Baja Designs helped out with lights and Climb with our gear. Big fan of the Climb gear. If anyone's ever thinking of trying it, like it literally saved my life once upon a time. So the Climb gear is top notch.
Yeah. Is that a sunrise, or a sunset? And that's a is it? Oh no, that's not a helicopter. It's dirt on my screen. I was gonna say it looked like a helicopter flying off there, but it's not over there.
No, that's a sunset. That's at one of our camps. I was after the race, but I thought that would be a cool photo to add in for you guys. Just some Labrador scenery.
Does anyone have a low windshield? It must be comfortable with the big windshield.
I will probably never hop on another machine with low windshield. We're just so used to the big windshields. The temperatures haven't dipped very low. We had a couple cold nights the last race, but before it was like minus 60, right? Like you need the wind protection.
Yeah,
so the big windshield definitely helps out. That windshield on our race sleds is actually discontinued from BRP, and it's a shame.
Oh wow. Jay Quill says absolutely fired up for 2026.
Yeah, so that's a buddy of ours. He's on our support team. He does a lot of media, and like the logo you seen earlier, the Rowdy Racing logo. He came up with that. He's a big supporter. Can't thank him enough. He actually just started a YouTube channel for us.
Cool.
We're gonna try it out. It's if anyone ever wants to look us up on anything, it's Rowdy Racing 93.
We'll look it up.
We're hoping to do some stuff. I'm not the best on camera, believe it or not. So I'm gonna have to learn more about that.
You're doing good tonight, man. This is a good icebreaker for you, that's for sure. But where else can they follow you on social media and things like that? Does Rowdy Racing have a Facebook page?
Yeah, so Instagram and YouTube were Rowdy Racing 93. That's our handles there. For Facebook, Facebook's a little sensitive and would not allow us to use the word rowdy.
Really?
So yeah, we couldn't believe it either. But so we're RR93 Cain's Quest is what we are on Facebook. We'd love for people, especially your guys' followers, to follow along our journey, and we'll try to. Instagram, Facebook is where we post a lot of our content, and we try to do like some giveaways we make sweaters and hats and stuff like that. So we try to do some giveaways. So if anyone wants to follow it's an adventure for sure. If anyone wants to follow along with, there you go, Rowdy Racing 93.
Yeah, and that's what your handle is on YouTube too. If you just go to youtube.com/@RowdyRacing93, like I have on the screen there, it goes, and they've got 25 subscribers. I'm the 25th, so make sure you subscribe to them tonight.
We just started that up. We're going to try to get a bit more media out there, and if Justin's watching, I'm sure he'll link our Facebook and Instagram into there too. So
right on. That's great. Love that. Oh, there's some more northern lights and the stars. That's pretty cool.
That's a pretty cool picture. That's at one of our camps that we visit in the spring and do some ice fishing and stuff like that. So I thought, I don't know if you guys get much for northern lights in Ontario. So I
Just
thought that
this
would be
year,
cool.
I've missed them. Like, you know, I've never seen them in person until this
Yeah.
year, and we've seen them a few times, and the one night was awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So
Wait, like that.
yeah.
Right, Dad?
Yeah,
Nice.
that's it there. It was dynamite.
We just
Yeah,
got
for sure.
lucky at a night going up north, and
The new cameras really make them pop too. You can't see so much with the eye, but when you hold the new iPhones and stuff like that up to them, it really makes them come out.
It's almost cheating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for sure.
Yeah. Oh, there's a great spot. Great. There's a
So
great
there's
shot.
me and the old guy I used to call him because he's retired from racing. He tells me now. I still don't know if I believe it, but he that was at the fan night before the race last year. You know, just
Yeah,
getting
sweet.
to meet everyone and this and that.
Very cool. Hey, you get to look over everybody's sleds and stuff, and you know.
Yeah,
It's real life.
it kind of allows you to place yourself on how you done with setting up your snow machine and fuel and stuff like that. Like you might say, well, mine's the best, and then you get to the fan night and you look at another team's machine. It's like, holy cow, that's a way better idea. So that's that's part of it.
Yeah, that's cool. Ron Casloot agrees with you. He says you're doing a great job on camera tonight. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. Hopefully, maybe you'll see some more of me one day.
Yeah, for sure. And there's the fabled river dunking.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to name drop anyone's names of who ended up down there, just in case. But that was traveling a river while we were scouting. And the funny thing is, this river was completely iced over. There was no open parts that you could see. I went over that exact spot. I rode over it. And I'm going and I look back and I don't see the guy behind me. So I start riding back, and all I see is a hand come up. There was a hole, and he's like, "Do not come back here." There's not much water. There's probably a couple feet of water, maybe like 2 feet of water there. But that hole is 12 feet down.
Oh my
The
God.
camera doesn't really do it justice, but that's 12 feet down, and there was only 2 of us.
Oh, geez.
So I know Drew was talking about in the fan photos of that machine stuck and trying to get it out with 2 guys. Well, we got an expedition and that sleigh out with just 2 guys and a little bit of
yeah. So the hood break off when it went in, and the hood is sitting on the back of the seat facing the other way. You can see on the left is the handlebars and the exhaust. So it's actually facing this way. That's the front. That's going the direction it was going. Yeah.
The hood actually hooked into the ice there as it went down and ripped the whole hood off the machine.
Yeah. How did you get it out? Keith wants to know.
Well, after we kind of stood up and looked down at the machine in the hole and was like, well, said some voice words I probably shouldn't say on camera. But we kind of said, we got it done now. We're screwed. Only 2 of us. And the issue was the ice that broke went behind the machine and started damming it off. So the water level was rising.
Jeez.
So what we done, I had a small top handle chainsaw and we started cutting the ice away that's on top there to the left, cutting the ice and putting it down in the hole and kind of making us a little ice ramp. that we could get the sled up on and hooked it to my machine. And we were there a few hours getting out, but luckily the two of us did get it out.
Was there current in that river too, or is it just
It looks like it.
does?
There was current. It's a shallow river, but there was some current there for sure.
Jeez.
It wasn't our greatest day.
Yeah. Here's another good example of what you're riding in, right? The snow is like up to the handlebars in depth. Like,
so that's another scouting trip. That's about 2 weeks after that that river dunking. I didn't make it on that trip. That's actually Brad and Nathan and Marcus. Brad was my partner. Nathan and Marcus are really good buddies of mine. I didn't make it. I had some clutch troubles that morning with my machine. So they said, well, we'll still go. And they had a wild day. They got, well, you can see how much snow fell overnight. And they broke trail for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. And just had a very hard night of day/night of breaking trail. So shout out to those guys for still going.
Yeah, wow. I'd love riding in that. That would be just fun to explore in it, but man, I can see it be trying. So you made sleighs for the roto packs to sit in, the gas cans.
Those aren't actually roto packs. They're just the tall 5-gallon jerry cans, like the Scepter ones that you get at Canadian Tire.
Oh, okay, yep.
So we custom made some sleighs, and
you lay them flat. You lay them on their side.
Yeah,
nice.
That's the way we do it. Try to keep the weight low, and we were carrying 4 each on each one of those sleighs. They're designed that you could carry 5 single, and you can also double them up if you needed.
Yeah, right on. When you get into, like, I'm looking at the terrain here and stuff, and it's like you go from bush to wide lake. What kind of wildlife are you encountering in this race?
Gary, the last race, last year, I probably done about 10,000 kilometers.
Right.
Not one of them was a groom trail. The only animal, aside from squirrels and a few like small birds, and ptarmigan, which is like a partridge that we have here.
Yeah.
Other than that, the only animal that I've seen during the race was a fox at the checkpoint in Goose Bay.
Really?
I never seen another. You think it's called the Big Land, you'd see a big animal. Yeah. I guess it's just so. Now we're not looking either. Right? We're not going down to sightsee, but like you'd think that you'd come across a wolf or a moose or a caribou or something like that. Not sad that I didn't come across a polar bear the night we spent going up to see ice, but
yeah. No, that's wild. Yeah, and this shot we used from the thumbnail. It's freaking cool. Yeah,
it's pretty cool one. We are cooking.
And what's the helicopter doing? Is it shooting at you, or is it like?
So the helicopter is in the air when the weather's good with Scott Grant, who is the Cains Quest official photographer, and 2 emergency response personnel. So if anything happens, they got EMRs on site. Scott came up with this cool idea to have a picture of the sled and the helicopter. And I'm not the only one who got a picture like this. He done it for multiple teams. This was the last day of the race after leaving Churchill Falls. And we left Churchill and we got like an hour out after doing the dreaded speed limit out of Churchill. And anyway, Brad comes over to communicator and he's like, "What's wrong? You're not moving very, like, something seems off." And I'm like, "Man, I really gotta take a leak." I'm not lying. That's what's wrong. He was like, "Okay." So I stop and take a leak, and while this is happening, all I can hear is the chopper coming. Like, that's my luck. This is when Scott's gonna come and start filming.
Oh no!
So, hop back on the machine right quick, and the chopper dropped Scott Grant off on one of the bogs, and he got this picture. And if anyone ever goes back on the Cain's Quest page on Facebook, Scott posted a video of me and Brad moving. The speeds we were moving across some bogs, the guys in the chopper, like that's crazy. It actually looks like the video was sped up.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
If anyone ever comes across that, it's cool.
Yeah. I think Drew's looking it up. If you find it, post a link up in the chat.
If you go on like Cain's Quest or Cain's Quest race updates and search Scott Grant, you might be able to come up with it. Or if you go on Team 82 Snow Ghosts, you might find it there too. That's just a picture as we got into the checkpoint in Goose Bay after a long day on the snow.
Yeah, everybody wears the vests with the number on, is it?
Yeah, that's a mandatory thing. I know some of the other big endurance races, it's a rule. So Cain's Quest adapted that. So it's one of the few rules that's in place.
Are they reflective as well?
I don't think.
No.
I could be wrong, but I don't
tell.
think.
They look like they may be orange high vis, but they're not. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think they're reflective. I just think they're orange high vis.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is at a checkpoint, I take it?
Yeah, same checkpoint coming into Goose Bay. We rode hard that day too after a long day, and got in there and dropped down onto the Goose River, and there was no snow. Come off the Goose River out into the bay leading into Goose Bay, and it was just sand and ice. There was zero snow, like not a blade. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, wild. Oh, is that yours that you put in the drink?
Yeah, that was mine. That's the one that got towed out that day.
Nice.
That wasn't fun. I got wet with that one. You can see the sleigh. It's kind of hard because it's white Teflon. The sleigh is actually still attached to the machine.
Yeah, and it's kind of going across the
flow. That's right. So that's a river crossing that we tried to come back across, and I just brought up on the bank on the other side and kind of slid back, and that was how that worked.
Was this scouting? Just a scouting expedition?
Yeah, that's scouting about a month before the race.
Yeah. So your seat's a little wet and you have to dry everything out.
That link dry bag that you see on the back of that expedition is an amazing thing until you submerge it in water and there's a little bit of air left to let water in, then it becomes a link wet bag.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that wet bag, once everything froze, weighed about 100 pounds.
Oh,
all my clothes and gear and everything in it.
Yeah. Man, oh man. Oh, there's some fresh pow.
I want to say that's in Postville. That's the same scouting trip that the boys went on and beat up a whole bunch of parts and got stuck. And I'm sure Kirsten sweared on me the full time. So thanks to the guys for going up there without me.
Yeah. Lloyd 709 says that's okay. It's just a Polaris in the river.
Yeah, it was a Polaris in the river. He's a buddy of mine. I'm amazed he's still watching me ramble on this long, but he's a good buddy of mine. He's honored for it.
Very cool. Just picking the new machines up.
That's back in December. We traveled out. We found a dealership that would take a few older machines we had on trade each. So we picked up, and they were the only dealership we could find with two 900 RX terrains close to us. So we traveled out and picked those up, and that's the day we got them. Yeah.
So where is this?
That's in a little town in Quebec called Amqui.
Okay.
So that's where we got
How far from Lab City is that?
I'm gonna say like probably like 1,000 kilometers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's a good trek, eh?
Yeah, little trip.
That's wild. There's some more deep, pal. Holy cow.
That's that same scouting trip that I missed. I don't know whether to say thankfully or regrettably that I missed it.
Yeah.
But the boys, when they got back, their stories were unbelievable. They could not believe how often they were getting stuck. Like, that's a groomed trail, or supposed to be, or
Yeah.
a marked trail. Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's ever been groomed, but it's definitely a marked trail. And yeah, there's just buried.
Yeah, right on. Well, that's the thing. How do you know, like, when do you, that's it for the slides there, but when do you kind of make the judgment call on what it's going to be like? Can you tell, like, in your area, you know, in November, December, what the weather is going to be like, and then you can adjust accordingly? Or is it really right down to the wire?
Like I said, it rained. You could have minus 50 and 100 centimeters of snow, and the night before the race, you might get 100 millimeters of rain.
Oh, no. Yeah, true.
So the weather in Labrador is completely unpredictable. You can kind of gauge what kind of machine you want to ride to be good in all conditions. That's kind of why I ran a 146 this year instead of the 137 again, just in case we encounter snow, to give us a little bit of an advantage over the 137. Yeah. But yeah, that's it's hard to tell for sure.
Oh, wow. Chris says, Brady, do you ever run the route Blancs between Quebec and Labrador?
No, I can't say I do.
Yeah, wow.
Route Blanche. Okay.
Blanche. He said, oops, Blanche.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not really sure on that one. So.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I appreciate you spending some time with us tonight and telling us all the stories. That was pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad to share my stories. Like I said, I'm definitely not the most seasoned racer there is out there, but I feel like I got a good handle on it, being a local and being involved. But it was good to be here.
Yeah, for sure. No, and let's touch base in the fall or before the race next year and get some more feedback and any changes in that kind of thing that you're going through.
Yeah, maybe before the next race or after the next race, we could do this again. And
yeah, for sure. Let's do that. Sounds good.
I can have you some better insight on what the 26 race is going to be. 26 race is going to be like then. Before I go, I do want to give a shout out to our local dealer, PWR Sports, Dale and Spencer and Jasmine and Jess and Renee and Caitlin and anyone I missed. They're great to us. They let us. They're really good with parts and just want to give them a shout out for all they help. We drive them nuts too.
No, yeah, that's great. Jay Quill says, good stuff. Great show. Keith 63060 says, thank you for the show. Chris Watson says, great show, folks. And the main Snowline says, thank you. And Kelly Maloney says, thanks for sharing your stories. That was was a cool episode, man.
Yeah, like I said, if anyone wants to see more stories, keep an eye on the Facebook and we're gonna try the YouTube thing. Gary got me broke in, so maybe one day Gary will be on my show.
Yeah, well, that would be awesome. I'd be there in a heartbeat. You let me know. But yeah, I'm just gonna run the credits and then we'll catch you guys next week. And stay tuned on social media for my Tech Rider form and make sure you guys fill that up. Okay, fill that form out. But yeah, thanks again, Brady, and all the best, bud.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Drew. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, have a good night, eh? Take care.
See you now.
It's a journey.